Hey guys, on this episode I have on author, public speaker, and Chippendale stripper turned relationship coach, Andre Paradis. Andre makes a profession out of helping people find their right balance and fix themselves so they can have functioning relationships. He's a full-blown relationship coach. Andre and I sit down and we get pretty deep into it. We talk about exactly what we don't hold back on what we think is wrong with men and women in America. So we're going to say some shit that you might not be down for. I warned you, okay? I warned you. All right, enjoy the show. I apologize. There was a little static and feedback on Andre's mic. It did not appear while we were recording. I edited it out to the best of my ability, but there's still a little bit there, here and there.
I said so long, carry on, 'cause the devil wants to take me for a ride.
This morning my car, I'm in New Hampshire and we have a snowstorm and my car went off the side of the road. And for 2 hours I was stranded on the side of the road in a snowstorm.
Like in a ditch? Like
Yeah.
nose first?
Yeah, just freezing, waiting, waiting. I called AAA and they just never came. And by the grace of God, someone drove by and was able to get me out.
Pull?
And yeah, they had like a winch. It was there were several plows that drove by who said, legally, I can't help you.
Right.
And then
The
finally,
liability.
Yep. Finally, one guy did. And I go, you are a lifesaver. Because my fingers were falling off.
Oh my goodness. I'm Canadian. I lived and was raised in Montreal, so I remember all this.
Oh, parlez-vous français?
Très bien, merci.
Ah oui, je parle un peu. J'ai étudié dans mon lycée pour 5 ans. J'ai pour dans ma université.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Quand j'ai 18 ans, je vais au pays et souvent je vais au Montréal et Québec City. Et souvent, je travaille avec les Québécois canadiens pour Cirque du Soleil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Alors, moi, je suis venu au monde à la ville de Québec.
Ah.
I say Montreal because people are like, so I live in Quebec, born and raised, and the weather is even worse in Quebec City than Montreal, believe me.
I've been to both. I know.
2.5 hours away is a different world. So I spend my life freezing. To this day, I see snow and I freeze up. Like I've seen enough snow and rain to last the rest of my life. That's why I live here.
I remember going to Quebec City in I think it was the end of May. And we drove by. I was staying at the Chateau Frontenac, and we drove by.
Goodness. That's my. The Chateau is such a.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we drove by a giant black mountain, and they go, "Oh, that snow is just covered with dirt. It hasn't melted."
Right.
And we were like, "It's June."
I know it's ridiculous. Like but March is when typically there'll be a last storm in March. They'll dump 3 feet of snow. Like you just think that it smells like spring. Boom, never mind. Right. And then that's gonna, like, I get this. We had a split level house when I was a kid. So like half basement, the bedrooms are down below for the kids, right? And the first floor was actually a story and a half up, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the stairs to get to the kitchen to get in the house, on the front yard part, the kitchen window would face the front yard of the house on the corner. So the kitchen window was 15 feet up in the air.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because down here was the bedroom. So the kitchen window was up there. So you could go across the street to wave at my mother. In the winter, we'd be looking right at her.
Oh, shit.
Standing on the snow. 15 feet of snow in the front yard, looking right at her. Making fun of her. Like throwing snowballs in her window. Right. And that was just normal. We lived that way. It's ridiculous. But so for this to melt, really will take to early June.
It's funny. I'm from Boston, and people in Boston and New England are exceptionally mean people. And I have my theories as to why they're mean.
The weather?
And no, because they all say it's the weather. But I remind them that Canadians all have it colder, and they're substantially a nicer people than we are.
Absolutely.
So it's not the weather.
So what do you think it is?
I think that it is horrific repression and generational trauma.
Wow.
I think I think there's a massive, so, we can get right into this. Welcome to Get Your Act Together. I appreciate having you here. I'm here with Andre Paradis, relationship coach, author, public speaker, minister. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Well, happy
And
to be here.
as I was saying, I think it's because I've been with women from all over. And the three most sexually repressed groups of women I've been with have been Muslim women, women from
Yep.
India,
Yep.
and Catholic women from New England.
Woo!
Protestant too, but it's New England in general is just our relationship dynamics and our sexual relationships are really out of whack. I've realized, especially traveling to Latin America and other cultures and countries.
Yep.
It's something else.
Germination, those seriously, and I have a friend. It's interesting. They're completely random. I have a friend in Los Angeles here who is part of his. I don't know if it's like a class he was doing a dissertation on cultural types, differences, and all that stuff. So he ended up doing his work on the French Canadian culture. Because he was like, at a level like you, was curious with human beings and like places in the world, and why do people, like there's places in the world people live to be 100, like, constantly, and the rest of the world doesn't. So like, how do people so that kind of geography / lifestyle / like all the things that affect people from literally from a geographical place perspective, plus ancestry that goes along with that. Fascinating, right? And he was researching French Canadian specifically, because like there's something in the water up there. We don't know what it is, but he says they're very, very inventive, they're very creative, they're very artistic, but they're also very business-like. They have a lot of resources, which we do. Like the state itself's got a lot of resources, like mining and fuel and gas and water, lumber, a lot of resources, right? Which makes them productive, I guess. But he says there's something in the background, there's something survival instinct that they have as the people that have basically founded this country. To be resilient through the weather, to the building this war, this, you know what I mean? And their feistiness on the other side. So it's very interesting, very localized. And for him, he was fascinated with the French Canadian people, because this is a level of creativity and the stuff they invent is through the roof, as opposed to other places in the world. Interesting, right? So ancestral stuff, absolutely.
I can say I've been to Montreal, and people are surprised when I tell them that Montreal has the biggest comedy festival in the world and one of the biggest jazz festivals in the world, certainly in North America.
That's, so bunch of goodies, seemingly. I've never got the final result of his research, but I mean that was something that was to him very obvious and very fascinating. And I could see this even in myself and my family, immediate family, like that constant push, but kind of both like business and artistic. Interesting. Interesting.
See, Boston, New England, we get amazing comedians and amazing writers, and then very angry people. And I think a lot of it's sexual frustration that eventually comes out in the form of art.
I mean that's kind of the basic pulsations of life, right? Like, and if that doesn't go well or awry or not happening, it bends people up.
I mean, even ancient Greek artists had a muse. Everyone, it's our most human element. It's the most natural element.
Yep.
Well, I'm curious. How did you end up down this road?
Which road? The relationship coaching,
yeah,
or being in California? And it's a long story, and it's hard for me to do it concisely. So you can help me, but in a nutshell, I came from a very everybody comes from a dysfunctional family, but the way mine was dysfunctional, from my perspective, is that I was 5 years old when I put my thoughts to my feelings about what's happening around me. Is that at 5 years old, I realized I was obviously born in the wrong family. Something was really wrong with this. I didn't like them. They didn't like me. We didn't it was like just like at 5, devastating. Thinking like, how did I land in the wrong house? How is that possible? How does it even happen? How do you can be so out of sort? In a family of 7, because there's 5 kids,
Wow.
and I don't belong here. At 5, I don't belong here. Something is really wrong. I always knew it. I always felt it, but at 5 is when I could have put the thoughts to it. Like, I don't belong here. Like, wow. So that was a trip, right? That was both like scary and devastating, and at the same time, it was like, okay, I get it. And at that age, I realized that I was going to have to take care of me,
Mm.
and I did.
Wow. That's
Right?
a lot to realize as a young kid.
Yeah, I said so, both scary and factual. So, right, go ahead and do it, type thing. And I literally took care of myself. I raised myself. I don't even know how that's possible. When I think back, like getting to school by myself, this little, getting ready for myself, this little, having my own, making breakfast for myself, this little, getting all bundled up because we live in Canada and get to school and back by myself. Like, anyway, bizarre. So, but what happened is, in that moment of clarity, I remember exactly sitting on the stairs. I remember the carpet, the color of the carpet, the wallpaper, the trellis. I remember this picture was such a big moment. And the reaction that came from there is I literally became like sort of outwardly focused. Like like the radar, my radar kind of opened up this way, and it started watching everything and everyone. First, trying to understand how is this possible, these circumstances, right? And then watching the world, and the moment I got to school, it was the same thing. And watching the world, like, why did they react to me this way? How do people, and then got fascinated in the human condition. I became fascinated as a kid with the human condition and how people are, how they act, how they treat other people, like all that stuff. And so I've been watching people since I was 5 years old. And the more interesting or different the person was, the more I was curious and go, hey, like, how do you get to be you, right? So that became, so with that, that's sort of like my awareness, just researching, watching people, just neurotically all the time. I didn't fit in well anywhere in school. I was I was the disconnected, dorky kid. I was terrible at sports. So
sounds like you and I live the same life.
Yeah, no. So it's often the story of a black sheep. They call it the black sheep of the family. Like, we just somehow didn't belong there. So I have this story that I collected from other people on podcasts. Oh no, it's not just like me. So for me, it was because I didn't fit anywhere. I was a watcher. I was quiet in the background all the time. So I was invisible. You'd find me, for sports, you'd find me at the bottom of the pool. That was my sport. Like, I'd swim on top, but if you do the moment I didn't have to, I'd be sitting at the bottom of the pool by myself.
I was never an athlete either, so I know what that's like. I know hiding during gym class to avoid being.
But my hiding was like just solo sport, right? In the pool, swimming. Anyway, sitting at the bottom of the pool, 13, 15 feet of water, just sitting at the bottom of the pool. That was where I lived. It was like being in a utero or a set of it, like it was being a different world. It was quiet, it was calm. The reality is completely different. If you scuba divers get this, the reality underwater is unbelievable. It's a different world. Yeah. You get lost and you have no sense of time. Anyway, so, but I went to a private high school. So I was about to turn 16, and we went to a fancy private school where you could get this is the story at the beginning of my life. You could do ballroom dancing for PE.
What? That's awesome.
I know. Now, I didn't, like I said, I was sort of a fly on the wall with everything. And so at the beginning of the school year, this young girl comes up to me and says, oh my God, I want to take ballroom, but you have to sign as a couple. Can you want a couple with me so we get 7-10? And I'm thinking, what? I didn't even know she knew existed. Cute little thing too, by the way. And I'm all, huh? And my first thought was, I don't have to change because this changing for PE in the pool, even though it's indoors. Still Quebec City, right? Like, always freaking cold. So no changing, just your shoes, and her in my arms. So, of course, we signed for class. A week later, this was like the signing up week. The week later, again, now I've never been in a dance class in my life. I just that was nothing on my reality that was anywhere near this. But somehow the first class with the girl in my arms, whatever the teacher would teach, I could copy instantly. I could just copy it. I could just do it. Huh? But that's kind of crazy. The guy who's good at nothing, right? Who fits
Mm-hmm.
nowhere. This I
Find
could
something you're good at.
this I could do. Like gift from God. Like wow. So the geek became the stud. Within a few months, I became the teacher's assistant. I became the guy that all the girls want to dance with. What? 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 Because girls like guys who can dance, and I can
Yes,
dance.
they do. Yes, they
And I
do.
was
As a guy who
assisting the
can't dance, I
teacher.
know.
Right. So I was assisting the teacher, and I was starting doing performance in school. So I became a little star. Well, that's interesting. And but there was such a uplifting. There's something, and if you don't dance, but you'll get this. Something with moving your body with this vibration of music when the two connect together, right? There's a huge amount of like upliftingness. It literally
Yeah.
fills up. It fills your heart. It's made me smile.
I just
And
started
I
dancing a month ago, actually.
see.
I
So
yeah, I came back from my ayahuasca trip. I felt very much reborn, and I was walking in the woods in the middle of the snow, and I listened to music, and I started dancing on the bridge, and I go,
see?
I can dance. My whole life, I said I couldn't dance. I've just had this blockage to keep me from doing it. This is amazing.
Yeah, and there's something liberated about this when again, like vibrations of the body line up with vibration of
Mhm.
music. It does something to your soul. I don't know how to explain it, but it it lifted me up, and I think I was a miserable kid. So then now I'm smiling. What?
Mhm.
I was no, I went from miserable to sort of like joyful, happy to be alive, excited about life, like just because the goodies that I got from that, is the chemistry of this as well, right? I got dopamine from being capable. I got dopamine from dancing. I got dopamine from sweating. I got, and endorphins, like literally chemically kind of lifted me up. I had
Yeah.
no idea, but I made a decision. I was not going to stop doing that ever, right? Because that's the only thing I wanted to do. That's the only thing that made me smile in life. It was miserable. Well, get this. So I took this thing all the way and I did ballroom for a few years, for about 4 years, competed a little bit, but then I moved to the West Coast. I went from Quebec City to Vancouver, Canada, getting away from my family, trying to find
Mhm.
my way, trying to find myself, right? Just there was no ballroom in Vancouver. Everywhere in Quebec, nowhere in Vancouver. So I'm a late teen at the time and started working and struggling and whatever. But I found myself not able to dance until one day my roommate says, you got to dance. You built for that stuff. You got to take your dance class. I found a jazz studio because that Jazzercise was in, and headbands
Mhm.
and leg warmers and all that. That was
Yeah.
right. So I'm like, well, no, that's not what I do. Right. Like we don't need to like, you don't even stretch in ballroom really. You know what I mean? You just change your shoes. Like this is a
Mhm.
whole different beast. She goes, no, no, no. Anyway, so it took me to class. The first hour is all body conditioning and stretching and strength building and all this stuff. I couldn't walk for a week. That turned me on. And so I went back anyway. So from ballroom dancing to jazz dancing, within 3 months of taking class twice a week, which is ridiculous. You don't learn anything in 3 months, but I got a scholarship. Here we go. What? A scholarship. You got potential. We see it in you. Huh? Okay. So scholarship, and then the scholarship, and then the scholarship, and then the scholarship. And then in the world of dance, males are always less available,
Yeah.
right? For partnership, for duo stuff, for ballroom stuff, for all the stuff that they need males for. It's always so. It was my whole life was me and 45 girls in every class. I mean, you name it, right? And then I even
It's
got
not a bad
sucked in.
ratio.
Seriously, right? Like so, I did pretty good. So, and then at one point, I even got pulled into because when I realized I was actually going to try this to do this for a living, literally, because that's all I wanted to do. If you're going to make a living, I'm a smart guy. You really, really, really got to be on your stuff, like super well trained. So back to the basis of all dances, ballet. Oh, ballet. So now we got a scholarship in two high prestigious ballet studios in Vancouver, like training me for free.
Mm.
And it, like you don't understand, you're like the perfect, which I did. I realized to a certain degree, but not even to the ballet world is such a difficult. I was built for it. My feet are turned out, my hips are naturally turned out. The proportion of my skeleton, the
Yeah.
frame, the strength, built for ballet, built for dancing. Now I didn't want to do ballet for dance for a living because I can't take myself seriously in white tights with my balls. on display. I just can't do it. I could do it in class, but I can't perform it. You know what I mean? It's just like I could. But I mean, the training that I got was incredible. So this is my life is a book. So I got all incredible training for free the whole time. You can't make a living in Vancouver, dancing. There's not enough of the industry. There's a lot more now, but then there was really not enough. Everything was in Los Angeles. You have to be in Los Angeles if you want to make a living at movie and television and commercials.
Yeah, you gotta go.
I come down here on a trip to help a friend of mine who used to come up to teach up there, to help him with his demo reel. Like dancers, choreographers have demo reels, like actors have production demo reels. So he asked me to come down to help him. I was going to be dance captain for 2 weeks, putting together his demo reel. Drove down with my girlfriend. It was going to be a couple-week vacation. I had a plan was always to move to Los Angeles, but I didn't know how that was even possible. Yeah. So I get to, I'll never forget this. This is a movie. I get to Los Angeles on a Thursday night. We drove into town Thursday night, rehearsed on a Saturday in the studio that we were working in. On a Saturday night in that studio, there was a dancer party. So all the people that I want to be part of, right, in Los Angeles, people my age who are doing this for a living, I get to be in a party. It was the same room that we were rehearsing anyway. And that evening, I get scouted by a strange man who I thought was trying to pick me up. I was very, very, very frustrated. Like this old guy is staring at me for like, I'm like, what the hell? And it turned out to be he had a national show going on, and he literally came up to me, and I was about to blow him off because I thought he was really being very inappropriate. I'm dancing with my girlfriend, for Christ's sake. I know this is LA, but dude, I was ready to like blow him off, and he goes, "Listen, dude, you have a second?" I'm like, "What?" And he was like, "I'm doing this. I have this national show that I'm doing. I lost a dancer 4 months ago. You're exactly what I'm looking for. What are you doing? Are you interested?" What? Anyway, so I got 2 days in town, and I got a job. I'm on the road for a year and a half, making a ton of money. Everything's paid for, plus salary, plus, right? So the show was Chippendales, by the way.
I was.
You're like, what kind of show?
I remember reading. Well, when I saw your bio, I knew you did this, and
that's how it happened.
My listeners are familiar with Chippendales.
Yeah, no, the whole world, like even teenagers know Chippendales.
Yeah, they do.
But it's funny because I'm a classically trained. Now we call it contemporary dancers, but back in those days I was a jazz dancer, commercial trained, jazz dancer. I'm not a stripper, so I was all insulted when he tells me the show. He goes, "Okay, dude, dancers can be very snooty."
Yeah, that's every artist. That's every actor,
actors as well, straight up.
Musicians.
So he's offering me this job, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not a stripper. I'm a classically trained jazz dancer." He goes, "Okay, fine. So how much money are you making doing, being a classically trained jazz dancer?" I'm like, He's like, my point exactly. So this is Saturday night. He goes, "We start rehearsal on Monday." This is 2 days before we start the rehearsal to go on the road. He goes, "Are you interested?" I'm like, I gotta talk to my girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like I drove down with her. I mean, she has to drive up on her own, right? And she's like, "Of course. Are you kidding me? Get out of here!" Right?
Wow,
because we were kind of a convenient summer fling type thing.
Yeah.
She had a life up there. She was never going to leave there. She had a home. You know what I mean?
It's still awesome. Sometimes you're in a relationship and the person will steamroll your dreams for their own selfishness. That's still pretty.
Yeah, not her. We both knew it was convenience for the summer. It was kind of, we'd known each other for years and liked each other, and it just sort of happened that summer. But like I said, she was never going to leave there, and she knew that I had a dream. So go. Anyway, so that was a year and a half. Made some money. Got done with that. Move. When I quit on purpose because it was actually very dangerous, and I don't necessarily need to go there, but it was very dangerous lifestyle. Life on the road, sex, drugs, rock and roll, like can't believe.
Touring.
And I'm not touring, and you're not training, so you lose your finesse, right? And like the athlete that I was, you got to keep that up. Right?
Did you enjoy it while you were doing it? Or was it just money?
I freaking loved it. Again, it was like celebrity plus, right? I was used to being the man in the room, and now I'm in the man and there's a bunch of other guys, but now with celebrities, celebrities everywhere we go, they do, because they have it was advertised 6 weeks ahead of every city we went to. So by the time we rolled into town, they could follow us. It was follow us from the airport. I mean, like the Beatles, like this, like crazy, like a crowd on the bus type thing, and screaming when we get out of the bus and trying to sneak back on the bus and without getting grabbed, and like crazy stuff, right? Like movie star stuff. Fun, especially for the geek inside of me.
Yeah.
Who was well heeled, but this is another level, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, fantastic. But then you get twisted. Disappointed. And the only simplest way I can say this, I don't know how much time you want to spend on this, but when life, this is why celebrities get in trouble. I lived it, is that when life is fun and things are easy, right? And you kind of have to, hide. You can't typically, and this is like a very small percentage, imagine a life of, J-Lo or some shit, like when you can't go in public because people jump on you.
Yeah.
Because they will, right? And literally, it's sometimes dangerous, the reaction that happens because people are stupid.
Yeah.
What happens is you when life is very low responsibilities and a lot of space, right? Like I said, we had no bills to pay. Everything was always covered. We had no responsibilities. We got on the bus and we did the show and got back, and right, it was very, and got paid and had all the. So when life is fun, I want to say, when life is fun, what you consider fun, right? You work all week to have fun on the weekend, whatever that is for you. But imagine you don't have to work anymore. So then every day is fun. Well, it very quickly isn't fun anymore.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Right. So what happened
No,
is
it's really not.
Then you have to up it. No, it's like what used to be fun is normal. So then you have to up the fun, and now it's fun again. But you used to that, and you go up, and then we get into the twilight zone, right? The dementedness of what it takes for somebody who has too much space and time and has to hide. It can be in the world, go to the park, be normal, right? Like when you literally have to. So celebrities do this; they go from one house to the next, from this celebrity's house to this celebrity's house, but they have nothing to do for months at a time. Sometimes. So what do? You play pool, but then you bring the boys and the crew, and and then you bring the hookers because you have to hide, so you can't go anywhere. So you're moving the hookers, and of course, people bring the drugs and all that. And this is how you get in trouble with nothing to do, right? And too much space, and trying to have like fun, trying to like feel something as opposed to hiding, right?
Oh, you're preaching the choir, Andre. I've been sober from alcohol for 5 years. I no longer do any party drugs. I still do. I like mushrooms, and I just tried ayahuasca. So I'm into stuff that will open my mind and help me spiritually. But I went through a similar thing where I was a late bloomer for sex. I didn't lose my virginity till like 21, 22. I was terrible with women for such a long time. And then once I hopped in, I went in the deep end.
Yep.
And I wanted more and more and more. And then the next thing I know, I'm like, this is fucking disgusting. And I feel gross about myself because what got me off last week doesn't get me off anymore.
That's what I'm talking about, right? Like, and you get it up all the time. And then you get to the twilight zone. And like, so for me, the level I saw, the most popular guy in the group had been doing it for over 5 years. And I could look at him and see that he's never going to be normal. He's never be okay the rest of his life. He's now twisted in a place where you can never respect women. They're all whores. That's what because that's all we see every day, right? And what age, what color, married, not married. Bachelorette party, they're screwing all of us.
Yeah.
She's getting married tomorrow, right? She's banging 3 guys in front of us.
Yeah.
Right? Like seriously. Good. Like how do you this disillusion with the idea of virtuous women, it disappears. It's not real life, but it's our lives. It's my reality. So I start believing. So I knew that Kevin, that was his name, was never going to be normal again. Was never going to have a normal life, a normal relationship with women. He was twisted forever. Like, and his idea of having fun. Oh my God, you have no idea. I could make you heckler like mine.
I can imagine.
Like, no idea, right? And I don't want to go there. My point is, as I was healthy-minded enough to see the danger in that. And I wanted a relationship and a wife. I wanted a kid. That was very classically. I looked like an animal and I lived like an animal, but I realized that deep down I was very traditional in a lot of ways. So I quit. And the guy's like, "Are you insane? There's only 12 of us in the whole. You're quitting the best job in the world." I'm like, you be you. This is just a job. It's getting me nowhere. My future is different than this. I'm going to do this for 5 years. What do you put in your resume? Well, you've been there 5 years. Right. No. I'm a commercial anyway. So I quit and then I got settled in Los Angeles. I got an agent. So bada boom, within a couple of years, it takes a couple of years to audition, the nervous system and knowing how and not trying too hard and all that stuff. It's interesting. Movie, television, commercials, dancing. But I ended up, working with Michael Jackson, Prince, Paul Abdul, Hugh Iglesias. I mean, I danced with the masters, the big guys. Wow. I traveled the world. I did 15 years. It was an incredible adventure. I mean, I did it. And I found my angel. She was one of my students, because when you perform, you also choreograph, you teach, you travel, right? Then you produce. So you go back from working with Michael Jackson, I come back in town, or I come back to my class. The class is full because it's the guy who was, you know what I mean? The machine of it is interesting. There's layers to the machine of being a commercial trained dancer or being in the industry, period. When you're on the train and you're competitive, you want it them. When you're on the train and working, anyway. So I was teaching between gigs, between performances, between travels. And sure enough, there's my angel walks into class one day, one of my students, and it was instantly my girl.
Right away,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew in 2 minutes.
Was it a feeling or was it a thought?
I never can't describe it. Like, it's not like I recognize her. It's not like this my soulmate. It's I had my radar up.
Yeah.
Because I've been after their life on the road and all the stuff that I had got out of my system, if you want, and decided I wanted one girl, the girl, to build a life with. The radar was up. And again, I'm surrounded with hundreds of beautiful women every day in class,
Mm-hmm.
week in and week out, radar, but a lot of beautiful, sexy girls, but no wife material here, right? No. As she walked in randomly, this was about 4 months after me going, I need to find my girl. She's out here somewhere. She walked in and it was like, there she is. Now, I don't ever quite know how to explain that. To me, it felt that it was beyond me and her, honestly.
Really?
It was beyond us. Like, there's my girl. 2 minutes. I mean, so much I choked. I couldn't teach class. I had to push my assistant in front of me to continue guiding the class. My ears got hot, like a 5-year-old got his hand caught in a cookie jar. My knees got weak. I couldn't, I lost my shit in the middle of class.
How did she respond?
She was freaked out because she was the new girl in the room, and so she's a ballerina, another commercial jazz dancer. So she was stepping into that world, which was a whole different world. She was completely freaked out. So she was like, and she came in late. That's how I saw her come in. She came in late because she came in from work. So she's 10 minutes late. So you're already out of place. She's just interrupting, and you know what I mean. So she was like this, but got the flow, and I was gone. That was just history.
See, this fascinates me because. So I was in late to the game with women. I started picking stuff up like you, traumatic childhood. I was not a popular kid. I wasn't good with girls, and I would observe people similar to you. I became an introvert, and over time I became an extrovert. And I went down a road of base pleasures. Just like it was known that Mike was a freak. If anyone was going to try something, it was me. I was. Yep. And I didn't hide it. I never lived like a double life. I just owned who I was and what I did. And after COVID, I had some time to be alone and to reevaluate my life. And similar to what you went through with this fella, Kevin, I looked at a lot of other people in my industry who are alone and they've got 10, 20 years on me and they're still doing drugs, trying to pick up a 22-year-old. And I'm not into that. I want a wife and kids, and I want and when I was in the jungle, I was reading a book about religion, and he outlined, and it was Hinduism, and outlined a quote by Tolstoy where it said, when a man exhausts the finite, he turns the infinite or he dies. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of my father's drinking himself to death. He chose death. Yep. I've seen a lot of people do that, and I started looking for something deeper, because I realized, I said to one of my friends, I go, this was not that long ago, I said, I got a hooker and it didn't do anything. And it did nothing. And for a long time it did. And it was a test for myself to see if anything would happen, and it did nothing. Like there's my base pleasure and then the thing inside me that needs more. Yep. And I was like, oh, everything that used to work for me doesn't work anymore. I need love. It's
interesting because in my world, I'm a relationship coach, now over this, and we tell you how to get there. It's another story, but it's a sign of no maturity, by the way. You know what I mean? There's the dopamine and the chemistry of our bodies, and the feeling invigorated and alive from sexual activity, but our chemistry is enough to sustain our happiness. That's not enough. So the moment our chemistry and our testosterone, because when you're 20, when you're a teenager, just anybody rubbing against you, gives you a boner. Gives you a boner, right? It could be the dog, it could be like, it doesn't matter, right? Anything, right?
It's when you hump a pillow.
Seriously, but women, a lot of women don't have a clue on this, and I'm not saying there's no way to have a clue about this, but it's this: our sexuality runs us over.
Mhm.
You know, hijacks our brains and our bodies. You know, we have to constantly release ourselves, you know, to be able to think, you know.
I felt like I had a demon in me.
That's what I'm saying. It's like a different, there's another guy inside of you who takes control and takes over. It's called the sexual drive that hijacks your brain. And you can't think of anything else until you relieve somehow, right? So whether you do it by yourself or that you chase women or do both typically, you know, and because I work with people, the stories of the way men in different ways handle their sexuality and the level of chemistry they have, you know, like the more masculine, the more testosterone, the more animalistic they are. And they constantly pull between their brain and their bodies. Right? So a lot of struggling, a lot of ruining relationship because he's got to keep freaking active, you know, otherwise he loses his mind. Like it's crazy shit. I'm not saying it's right. And I'm not saying it's right, but yeah, so like more and different. And I had a guy who would go bounce back before his girlfriend, a chick on the street, you know, a little faggot in the club that would suck his dick for no reason, just because you know what I mean. Like, but to him, like all of it was necessary. It was all necessary, right? He needed every which way as much as possible.
Yeah.
His chemistry was that kind of. He was a beast, you know, like chemically, like this. And it was like wow, right? And just stuff he didn't necessarily want to do that he just. I get it, right? So,
as someone with high testosterone, it
hijacks your brain, it hijacks your willpower, it hijacks you, and it's not an excuse. You have to have a male body to understand it.
Yeah.
But this fades, which is a good news, right? As teenagers and young men, like that thing becomes part of our identity or identity building to chase women and to see how much conquering you can do, and it sort of gives you a sense of yourself and when you fit in the world. I get it, and it's not always healthy and good for both. You know, we abuse a lot of women in that.
Yeah.
You know, and destroy them for life. This is something to be mindful of. I teach my son, right? Don't play with women. There's somebody's, you know, daughter.
Yeah.
There's a soul there. Anyway, so, but like the freaking sexuality, that pulse of life, that caveman instinct, that overriding. Anyway, so I'm not making excuses, but the good news is like this is a place where you know, when we're younger, we're reckless and restless with it all. And then it fades. And when it fades, you can't really count on your chemistry to bring the connection that we feel, because the sexuality for us gives us an emotional connection to women. This is how we get out of our heads. This is how we get out of this. We get into our hearts. This is why a guy who's just having fun with a girl in the middle of sex sometimes, if he's been not with a woman for a while, it may blurt out. It happens all the time. I love you in the middle of having sex. He's so opened, right? And then he goes, what the hell did I just say? Right? And disappears. But like this sex opens our emotions. To a woman, she has to be open emotionally to have sex. Two different machines. So that said, we get ourselves in all kinds of not knowing. But when you get older, like you, eventually that's not enough. It doesn't open up enough. It opens my body to my heart some, but I need more depth. I need more connection. I need more, you know, to fall in love. I need like it's, you know, if you're normal, it doesn't happen to everybody, but it's the norm, you know. And when we change, all of a sudden, like we don't want to have sex so much. We, you know, when we get to know the girl first, because every time I have sex, it screws everything up. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it does, right? So if you like a girl, you hold back a little bit, right? Because you want to like her and not screw it up by screwing up, you know, like having sex with her. Because every time, so you're gonna say something. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I used to have a rule. So before COVID, I was living in New York City and performing out there. And I just got out of my 7-year relationship, and I was fucking anything that moves. And I was having fun, but at the same time, I was so focused. I wasn't trying to make. Occasionally, I meet good girls, but it just wasn't right, or I was doing so into my career. And I had a rule that, like, if I didn't fuck on the first date, usually I was like, I'm gonna get you on the first date. And now I actually will go on a date, and I swore I would never do that. And it's just a natural maturity. And
you're maturing.
I know it was
beautiful.
I'm growing.
Oh my goodness.
It was very interesting about what you said about that phase, because I've been getting on a path of improvement, mentally, physically, spiritually. Just I want to be a better person and not repeat the same cycles of family mistakes. I want to break it with me. And we were saying, I went through that phase where I was like, oh, I'm 35 now. Am I just losing testosterone, or am I being a better person? And it's both. It's both. But I also have met the guys who didn't get that stuff out of their system in their 20s, and it's now like it bubbles up later on in life where they destroy a perfectly good marriage in their 40s.
Yep. Straight up. And so like, I used to think I was so fortunate that because of my circumstances, I had a lot of access, and I got to, by the time I was 20, I got off the road, I was 27, right? That I got that out of my system to some level. You know what I mean? I matured that way quickly because I'd done so much all the way leading up to that, that job. And the job like really took me to Twilight Zone with this. And all of a sudden, like this, the hollowness, the shallowness, the what is this? It's so stupid. It's so meaningless. You know what I mean? Like it's so meaningless. And to a point where at the end of the tour, this is when I decided to quit, that I would like resist it. And I guess this is insane. And this is coming from a male mouth, me, to start feeling that I'm being taken advantage of.
Yeah, what? No, they can take advantage of us.
Right, like I'm feeling like they don't care anything about me. They just want to go back to work the next day and say, "Fuck one of the guys in the show." Like, now I'm offended. What? I'm more than a piece of meat. What? Who the hell am I? Like, who said? Girls say this, men don't say this, right? But that kind
I've said it.
But it's interesting progression, and then so I was trying to resist. Because at some level, every time I had sex with a girl, there's something of me that she would go away. That she would take something from me. She would take some of my power and energy, stuff that I needed. Interesting, right? So mine was radical, right? It was radical, like bam, like from first, because we did the show in 3 months segment, 3 months on the road, 2 weeks off back in Los Angeles, 3 months on the back, and they put us in hotels because we didn't have apartments. But so these cycles of 3 months of right? And by the fourth round, the first room is so much fun. That's so much fun. Just like this stuff is kid in the candy store. Second cycle was great. Third cycle, this is getting weird. I'm starting to act like Kevin.
Yeah.
Right? Fourth cycle, this is weird. Now it's sipping into my brain. Now I'm starting to think like he does. I'm starting to think, women are all bleak, right? They're all so then now my reality is twisted. Right? And sort of managing to understand the data in this. Now, what's interesting, talking about chemistry, right? Like when you're thinking at 35, is your chemistry changing and becoming a better guy? Both, right? Because your brain will change as your chemistry, testosterone reduces, right? You get a little more sensitive, a little bit more aware, a little bit more, like sort of wanting more than like more. It's the lust gets sort of pushed aside gently with quality, connection, like depth of feelings and emotions opposed to through your body. Now, again, I think this is fascinating. Right down to, so before, there's a female menopause, and for males, we call it andropause, is the part between 45 and 55. This is when men's chemistry flips. It's our version of menopause. It's called andropause. So our testosterone drastically lowers, but our estrogen typically stays the same. So the less testosterone we have, the less that push, that drive, that lusting for everything, that pushing for more. Like we calm down in every way, really, and we become more sensitive because estrogen becomes more of a presence. So we're gentler, we're kinder, we're softer, we're more communicative, we're nicer, right? We're more empathetic and everything that women want us to be.
Exactly.
But what's interesting is that if you're a man who only saw women as sexual objects, so women are things to play with, your chemistry that fails at that point. This is why men in their 50s have erectile dysfunction, can't get it up, can't get going, can't achieve an erection, can't orgasm anymore, right? And it's devastating from one extreme to your body failing you. Get this research on this is fascinating. Men who always saw women as playthings fail in their 50s completely. Sexually. Their bodies will not keep it up. Your chemistry collapsing will have you unable to make love to women. Get this is magical, I think. Men who learn to love women, not women's bodies, to love a woman emotionally, to be connected from heart and soul and body. Men who love women have sex in their 80s without any problems.
See, I'm glad you just said this because I've been going through something like this, and a lot of people I talk to about it don't fully believe me. I had some issues where I was with a girl, but I didn't like her. I was just having sex to have sex, and my dick was barely working.
Yep.
And I go, "What? I used to be able to anytime I wanted. What's going?" And it happened several times.
Yep.
And then I was with a girl I liked, mentally and just personality wise,
Yep.
no problem. Before I even kissed her, and I go, "Oh shit, my dick has a conscience. He
Yep.
can't like he can't."
But it's more than that. It's more than that. Your chemistry will not sustain it.
Yes.
You have to have heart and soul invested. You have
Yeah.
to not only like the girl. So men who never learn to love women, right, are the guys on Viagra because the shit doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Men who love women never need Viagra ever.
I think personally, I find that I feel like porn probably leads to a lot of this too.
Of course.
I try
Absolutely.
not to watch.
Don't watch porn. Don't jack off. You desensitize your dick to your hand, to the pressure, just so perfectly, rhythm, time, and excitement of what we're looking at. Don't do it. This is how I have young men get this because the work that I do. I have like 16-year-old boys who you could put naked in the bed with a chick, don't get hard.
I've talked with guys myself.
15-year-old, no boner, naked girl on
Yeah.
top of you. Nothing happens because they're used to the computer
Yeah.
and that in their hands, and literally like they can't even connect. They're so disconnected, right? The terrible stuff, right? So any of that will twist your brain, get you out of your physiology, out of your connect. Being able to connect is too nervous. Too nervous to like step in and to be with a woman and to actually like the intertwining of energy, chemistry, physiology, physicality, right? And really let nature does what nature does. Go against that long enough, your nature goes,
absolutely,
right? And now we have a problem. So like that's a terrible 50% of all men are addicted to porn.
Oh, I've been there. It's not. I've explained
Like,
to women. It's not a fun experience. They never fully understand it. I go, it's not. Like I've been addicted to physical substances before, but this was different because I was like, I can get away from booze. I can't get away from my dick or these urges. Right?
Yep. And you can, right? That's a little discipline and understanding. If you want the goodies, like in anything in life, if you want the good life, you got to plan your life and discipline yourself for the good life, whether it's schooling, money managing, building a future, right? Like anything. In order to have the good life, you have to discipline yourself in things that you can't just be free falling all over the place. People who don't plan, don't have good futures. If you live by the seat of your pants, the future is bleak. If you burn everything that's in your pocket just because you're the moment instant gratification, the future is bleak. It's the people who don't, like give in to the instant urge and instant gratification in every way, who monitor themselves, discipline themselves, do the hard work, put the money down, save the money. Right? You want a house? You're gonna have a plan to build a house. Otherwise, if you spend your money on weekend on horse and hookers and parties and drugs, you ain't gonna get no house. You'll be this 50-year-old loser in a piece of shit car, living in one bedroom. Like, congratulations, or in a studio apartment. Like so people get a good life, discipline themselves. So this is the same, right? You want your sexual life to be balanced and alive and really working. Don't do porn. Put your dick down, right? Seriously.
It is.
Go connect to the girl. Go learn to love this woman, a woman, right? Get into what she needs from you. She looks at you with those eyes when you feel like a hero and stuff.
It's a beautiful fucking feeling.
Right?
It's better than any orgasm I ever had.
That's what I'm saying. So the difference between having sex and making love, right? And it's like no, making love. You have to love all of her, and when you're in with her, it's not your dick and your body; it's all of you with all of her. And then again, the chemistry itself will fail you. You have to have the emotional behind it for this thing to keep working. There's a lot of data on this. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah, I love women. I've been accused of being a misogynist before. I actually just had a show. I have been before.
What part? Yeah.
No, I have. But this was when I was younger. And I was an insult, definitely.
Yep.
But this was a show I did where I talked about men and women on stage. And I talked about how men ruin relationships through dishonesty and how women do it too. And a group of women wrote emails of complaining because of what I said on their records. And It's
But
going to happen. I think that's
what
part of,
you know,
be
it's just,
tested.
I love when women come at me with, why men cheat, when men cheat, and what, you know what I mean? Okay, so this is 70-layer question, first of all, because there's a bunch of different reasons, right? But I go, just so we get over ourselves here with this righteousness, women cheat as much as men.
Yes.
Period. The numbers say 3% different.
Mhm.
Like men are 51-2, and I think women are 49-3. Like it's
Yeah.
the same 50-50. You want 50-50? Well, we have it all the time, by the way. So women cheat as much as men, but we don't talk about it. And part that's shitty, and I apologize in advance with that's going to trigger it to the female listeners, but I got to say it, right? When the man cheats on his girlfriend, wife, whatever, he's a pig. And okay, again, there's reason why these things happen. It's not always whatever. And he can be a pig, yes, and maybe not, and whatever, right? There's a bunch of it. So, but men cheat, men are pigs. Women cheat, well, it's because of him. I'm lonely, I'm abandoned, he doesn't connect with. So never really.
I've heard this so many times.
This is the work that I do. Like this is exactly where it goes. I cheated because he's not. I don't feel right. So there's always a good reason for her to cheat. There's never a good reason for him to cheat. Well, ladies, fuck that.
Mhm.
Fuck that. Wake the hell up, right? So it takes two to tango. So he's cheating. Are you really? Are you what's going on with the both of you? That's again. There's a bunch of reasons as well. I'm not blaming anybody, but it takes two, right? So if he's cheating, something's up. Most likely something that I had a woman say this to me like straight up, like, he needs to get over it. We have two little kids, and I'm done with this. He needs to get over it.
The fact that she cheated?
No, the fact that he wants to have sex with her.
And she doesn't want. See,
he doesn't want sex with it, right? So I have two little kids. He needs to get over it. As in, like, he needs to stop trying to climb on top of me. We have two little kids. I'm tired. I have little hands on me all day long. I don't want him to touch me. He needs to get over it. He needs to get over it. Like, don't have sex with her is what she wants. She doesn't want to have sex with him. He needs to get over it. I'm like, how stupid are you? How long do you think that's going to last till you find out he has a girlfriend on the side? I mean, you're pushing him out willingly.
I know a lot of guys going through this, actually.
Now, again, that's not always the girl's fault. I get it, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, some will announce it straight up. Like, I'll never get it. He needs to get over it. I'm like, are you insane? So you, in your mind, you made a vow to him, you're not going to have sex with anybody else, so you're going to be his wife, right? And as long as he pays the bills, you'll stick to him. If he stops paying the bills, you'll find some better guy, right? Like, so you're clear what he needs from you. What he needs, you need from him. But what he needs from you, that doesn't matter because he made a vow. He's supposed to be as unreasonable as possible and give him nothing that keeps him in the loop. And that, if he strays, that's his fault. Really? Is that intelligent? Is that intelligent? Right?
Like, lack of accountability is what it is.
Which is, I hate to say it again, is an insult for you female listeners, right? Like, you remember who said this? What's that movie with is it Robert De Niro? Because he understands women. This is simple, A woman is, you take a man and take away all accountability and common sense, and you have a woman.
Andre, I've said this on this podcast many times, so don't worry.
My point, but it sounds terribly shitty, right? But accountability is the thing that men own typically in our bodies. Women really, the accountability for women typically means, but you have to do what is not sexy, and if you made a mistake, then you made a mistake, but they can't say made a mistake because somehow it makes them less, and they're always stuck with that perfectionism. It's an instinct, by the way, so it's not even for them to be blamed. But like the instinct is to never be accountable for anything, because if I'm accountable, it's my fault. If it's my fault, I'm a piece of blah 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 blah, and they kind of destroy themselves with that. So they never take accountability. It's always somebody else's fault. Like I said, he cheats, it's his fault. I cheat, it's his fault, right? Like it goes. Okay, it's important. It's important to know that the mechanism is in there. I mean, ladies, you gotta take accountability.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, because nobody can respect you if you don't either. By the way, you'll be one of those. We'll talk about you that way, right?
Yeah. And
self-centered, all about her. That's not cute.
Understanding the natural reasons we do things is what alleviated so much stress for me from dealing with the opposite gender. And just was that I was, so actually a friend of mine, Dante Nero, who's a relationship coach, me, and a former male stripper as well. He taught me the phrase check test, which is that women will naturally check your manhood to see if you're still of value. And it used to be something that, as a young man, you take it personal, and then you realize, oh, it's supposed to happen, and you're supposed to pass it. And when I've had bad relationships, I failed it, and it was my fault. I failed the check test. And I explain this to guys: it's not going to go away. It's always there. You just it's part of the process.
That's how she knows that's how she gauges your character.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because again, instinctively, like women will check us, right? Test us and see if she can make you fold,
Yeah.
whatever that means. And if you fold, somehow you fail, because if you fold, somehow she can manipulate you. Somehow, she can control you. If she can control you, then you can't defend her. If you can't defend her, then she's in danger always. So she can't count on you to protect her. You gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta go. If I can make you do my way, this is like again sensual stuff. It's not a thought process.
Yeah.
But if I can manipulate you, do it my way, have you do like manhandle you, I don't feel safe, because you won't be able to manhandle anybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So women who beat up on men, physically beat up on them, you see those, right? Like literally it starts with that equation, right? They don't feel safe. He's not manly enough. He's not handling her stuff. She's trying to make him a man, so she tells him what to do, becomes his mother. The more he acquiesces to her mother, her requests and demands, and you need to, the weaker he is, the weaker he feels, the weaker he is to her, the more scared she becomes that she could push this guy around and make him do like a little boy, obedient.
Yeah.
A man is not obedient.
No.
The boy is obedient. The boy is obedient. A man will never be. Ladies, get over this. Right? You're gonna make men obedient, you're gonna lose.
You're not gonna find them attractive anymore.
You're gonna lose respect for them, and you're gonna start putting him down and really resenting and feeling very anxious, very nervous, very unsafe with them. Right? So that's the same mechanism. It starts with testing, right? We're talking about, right? And testing us and see the boundaries and see how much she can make us bend, type thing. And if you do, it's the beginning of the end for you with her. Because eventually, so women who beat on their man, literally physically, you see them on videos, like beating the shit out of him, right? Or so freaked out, they're trying to wake the beast in him. Wake the fuck up! Wake the fuck up, you little pussy piece of shit! And he goes like this. He goes like this, right? And he has to go into shelter to protect himself. Like, you know what I mean? So no, right? So the test is the beginning of, seeing how safe you are, how solid you are, how you can actually protect her, how you can be the rock in her life, that when she does a storm, you can just stand in the storm.
Yeah.
Don't fight back. Just let her fucking storm over you and stand there in the wind, and then the storm, and you go, you done?
That's
and
my
method. Seriously, the moment the storm comes and you don't waver in the storm and you let her, and she's gonna try. She'll pull all the cards, all the bullshit, all the insecurities, everything to make you, like fight back and fall apart and like a little bitch and react and get, you just fucking stand there. And then she'll notice this ain't working. The storm was going to go much shorter. Then you go, you done? That was bullshit, by the way. That's not what I was doing. You need to calm the fuck down. Right? I'm not the bad guy. Misunderstanding me doesn't mean that you're right. Okay, so now what? So what's breeze up your ass? What started all this? What is the straw that brought all this bullshit on me? What's up?
Yeah.
I don't feel like you. And then she starts crying. Now we get real, right?
Yeah, you can get to the source of the
waver
problem.
in the storm. Like you get to be the rock, let the storm come, and just let it, and go, okay. Done with that?
What helped me with that was reading Roman Stoic philosophers, actually. And it was Marcus Aurelius helped me be better with women.
Yeah.
And
magic stuff. Yeah.
I realized that if you losing your control of your emotions, and I'm just gonna act like her. And then she's not going to respect me because now I'm acting, I'm not a man. I'm a little bitch.
Exactly. And let's get back to nature. Everything I teach is nature and science.
It's all nature.
Right? So get this, in nature, imagine if men were actually as emotional as women. It goes to the roof. It's elevated, right? She gets emotional, and we know why, right? It's part of the nervous system and awareness and whatever, right? I don't want to go there. It's a whole part, whatever.
Yeah.
But she will do this emotionally, and we get to do this. And she's like, basically, like I'm the ocean floor or the riverbed, and she's the water, right? I just hold it, and she can on top of all. I got it, right? Like so, and that comes the water. That's the complementary of our physiology. It's so fantastic, right? She'll be emotional. The more I'm solid, the waves stop.
Yeah.
And now she respects the rock because that actually helped without saying a word to be solid, and So our strength calms their storms, emotional storms, because life happens, and everything that comes at them, they're emotionally driven. Okay, so let's just say solid. So for my life with my wife, the more solid I am, the less storm there in the house. She'll come home from a storm, and you know what I mean? And in that, I'm her hero. You know what I mean? So, but imagine if I was emotional as she was. Chaos, right? So we build an opposition on purpose. What's good, what I do naturally as a man, is good for my wife. What she does for me as a woman, as a man, to open me up is good for me. We need each other.
Yeah,
but it's not the same. It's not equality. It's not same. A good man will not act like a woman. If you want your man to act like your girlfriend, you're an idiot. A regular man will not. I'm serious, ladies. Wake the hell up, right? A good guy is not going to be sensitive and sweet and talkative and vulnerable and talk to you for 2 hours like your girlfriend. That's a girl. And those guys, by the way, are out there because we make them at the truckload now with our culture and feminine.
I'd say it's like 80% of them.
Right. It's not, but it feels that way.
Yeah, it does.
But it doesn't make women feel safe. They make you fucking crazy. They talk like chicks. They're emotional like chicks. They don't want to step up like chicks because they can't step up like men, so they don't. And women are like, where are all the men? Well, congratulations to our fucking culture. We feminize the shit out of them. They don't have balls anymore. You want to be stronger than men? Congratulations. Now you have the whole thing upside down. That's not working.
That's something I noticed with my travels as of late, was coming back from Latin America, pretty much anywhere else, Asia, Eastern Europe, Africa, Europe, and I came back to the U.S. and I go, holy shit,
what the fuck?
Our women are extremely masculine, and it's because our men ain't acting like men, so women have tried to outman the man.
And it's both. We've been raising women since the early 70s to be strong, independent, and powerful. You go, girl, you know, man, you need some power. You know, the patriarchy, blah blah blah, right? Anyway, so we've masculinized women since they're in kindergarten. You don't know, man, and they're dangerous, toxic, and they'll cheat on you anyway. So protect yourself. Well, okay, so 50% of the planet is toxic. How's that going to work out? So women, and of course, everybody's got stories about bad guys, right? That's not most guys, it's some guys, but everybody's got stories. So it's easy to spread that out, right? And then we raise men to be sweet, sensitive, passive, talkative, vulnerable, and everything about them is toxic. So you gotta, don't lean on women anymore. Don't make decisions. Don't just acquiesce. They lose their balls. They're shamed out of being masculine. They're shamed out of growing the masculinity. That's the problem. So we did it on both sides. So women are like, where are the men? And the men are like, where are the women? They're all bitches. And the women say like, oh, they just want to have sex. Nobody wants to like step up. Well, congratulations. You celebrate our culture. We flip the script. It's already complicated. Listen.
Yeah.
Men and women is complicated in the first place. We're not equals. We're made to be complementary. Like what she brings to my life is different than what I bring to her life. And what she one of the things that I do naturally, she doesn't do, and vice versa. And that's the complementary. That's the dance. I look behind me, ballroom dancing. That's me and my wife, right? That's our life. There's no equality here.
Yeah.
Right? It's complementary, and she's not passive for 1 fucking second. She's not passive. There's not passive here. There's super active, but different. Right? Complementary. What she does that I don't want to do, and what I do that she doesn't want to do, and all the negotiating between is the new modern relationships, right? But it's not equality.
No.
And so with that, it's already complicated, men and women in nature. We flip the script thinking it's going to be better, and it's the worst thing ever. So I'm so busy with my work because women are completely confused and worn out and stressed out and exhausted and not feeling safe in the world. And men are like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I can't be this, I can't be that. And I've had young men say to women like, don't hit me, please, but I think you're really pretty. I think you're really pretty. They can't even compliment them. That's toxic. What the hell, you guys? What the fuck is going on? Right? So all these millennial boys who look like girls with their, their ponytails and really? So we soften men, it doesn't work. We toughen women, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
It'll work for some, but really as a rule in nature, it destroys the culture, it destroys everything possible.
It's like civilization ending stuff. And I being in New York City, I always explain trying to date women there as constantly being in a fight over who the man is. You feel like you're permanently in a fight. And I dated women from South America, and as you explained, it was yin and yang just fitting together. And I was like, this just works. It's just a merging of two energies, and we don't fight. I'm the man, you're the woman. We each have our role. It's
not competitive. And it's complementary.
No, it's not
beautiful.
Supposed to be a competition.
I know. Well, we taught this completely backwards here on purpose in the name of freedom and equality, and it's destroying everything. And I'm sick of it because I'm all my clients, right, are women who strong, independent, powerful. They have money, they have career, they have cars, they have that. Nobody wants to date me. I'm like, I know you're the dude. You have bigger balls than he does. What the hell does that mean? That's mean. I'm like, no, I'm telling you the reality. You've been raised to be masculine and powerful and independent and go girl, and nobody tells you what to do. That's masculine. So all you can do is attract a feminine, guy who doesn't want to work, who plays his music, who smokes smokes pots and spoons your dog when you have your 2 jobs. How you like it? Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
We've done away with nature. There's a price to pay for that. The price to pay is women are lonely, and typically by the age of 40, that's when they wake up to, like, I'm tired. I don't want to work so hard. I want some companionship. I like to let go. I like somebody to take care of me, right? But they don't know how to do it. They've never learned to do it. They're 40 plus, and they're manly, and they don't know. They've completely lost their feminine essence. It's disappeared. And the man who, what happens is when a woman's masculine, it's repulsive to masculine men, because there's still a lot of masculine men out there. But masculine men go, yeah, okay, get that shit out of my face, right? So they don't know this. They've never met a man, because what they attract is the boys and the little players and the little sex toys, that are cute with a 6-pack. Well, that's all they could do. They don't work. They want you to work. So women are in pain, dude. Like, this is what kills me. My mission in life is to put a dent in that cultural crap of you go girl and guys supposed to be sensitive. It doesn't work.
It hurts
people. There's a place in the middle. Women are in pain and completely feeling abandoned and lonely. You know what I mean? It completely feels like there's something wrong. I'm still young. I'm still pretty. I still have all this to offer. I have my shit together. I'm no trouble for anybody. How come nobody wants me? I can't get a date. I'm invisible to men. Right? And if I do get a date, I can't get a second date. What is wrong with me? I go, honey, you're overcalibrating masculine.
Yeah.
Your mother, your culture, your friends, your schooling all trained you to be a competitive dude in a skirt. That is repulsive to men. Real men don't want any of that shit. They walk away from me. They don't even say hi. So I get my clients living on the other side, because they actually are women. So it's in there, which I have to cultivate it back out of them. And also they attract real men who go, girl, you don't have to be doing this. I got it. No, I just know you're my wife. Right? And nature kicks back in. So in our culture, women are too butch and men are too soft. And it's the kiss of death. It's destroying everything. It's destroying family system. It's destroying culture and society at 100 miles an hour. It has to stop.
Several days ago, I was sitting in a cafe working, and a woman came in with her husband and 2 kids, and she proceeded to come over and start flirting with me while her husband was in the back. But she was doing it in a masculine way. She was nagging me. She introduced herself, asked my name, noticed I had an accent. Where are you from? You're not from around here. And then was like, I'm a comedian. I'm working on my stuff right now. I'm doing something. She goes, oh, it must be tough because you're not funny. And I go, you don't know me. She's trying to nag me.
See how rude
and
that
then
is?
Routinely said this kind of, like, she sees I'm doing work in a video. Oh, do you add the laughs in after? And I'm like, nah, like, and it was, she did it several times. And I go, you're trying to pick me up the way a man, like a young boy would try and pick up a girl. And I was so blown away because her husband was here.
Right there, yeah, totally disrespectful.
And I was like, I don't know if he's swingers, if there's a lot of people in polyamory and that stuff that they do.
Sure.
But it blew me away. It's
attractive, isn't it? It's so attractive.
It was disgusting. It was so
fucking disgusting.
It was foul. I go, you're here with, like, everything about it. You, like, just even if you weren't here with a man, your husband and your kids, this would have been disgusting to me.
Straight up, like, it's disgusting. Like, you think you're badass, you're gonna come up to me, you think you're cool. Mm-hmm. My sister is like this, by the way. It cracks me up. My sister is like the one person I can't help. This is the work I do. I get paid a ton of money to help women that flip that script and actually get everything they want out of life, because they know what they want. They're just this culture's taught them is exact opposite of what works. So they're in trouble, right? But the ones who get it come up to me and they'll pay the money and get on the other, whatever. But my sister, who's never asked me, I can't help. Right? And she's like, she looks like Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan was young and pretty. She's beautiful. Looks like a girl, makes a ton of money. Butch. Like, she opens her mouth, and a feminine woman opens her mouth, and it creates, like, this warmth. Like, a feminine woman is like the sunshine on your face, right? It makes you smile. She just stands
it's like
there.
A hug.
I know.
You
just stand there and you smile, just looking at her. She has to say nothing. It's preferably she says nothing. My sister walks in a room. She looks beautiful. She's dressed to the T, and she creates tension. Masculine women create tension.
They do. That's a great way of putting it.
They do, and they repulse men. They repulse everybody, but the boys kind of are used to it. The men go, "Fuck this! Nobody's asking me out." Yeah, you create tension. Exact opposite of what men are looking for. Men's lives, everybody's lives at this nowadays, is full of tension. We want an opposite when I'm on a date. I want loveliness. I want charm. I want calm. I want funny. I want to feel enchanted. I want the radiance or warmth. I want to get out of my fucking head and feel something out of my head, which is only possible with the presence of a feminine woman. It makes us right present. There's nothing else on my radar when I'm in the presence of a lovely woman. Nothing. I get delighted in that, like sitting in the sun. It's like inspiring, it's refreshing, and it lifts our spirit up. Oh no, but that's weak. We don't need to be feminine. We need to be competitive. Well, ladies, you've been sold a lemon. I can't say it loud enough, right?
I just experienced this with a woman.
Did I just
Andre.
go off? Did I just go off? I think I just go off.
No, you're still here.
No, I mean go off like on a rant.
That's what this show is for, man. It's all good. I rant all the time, and it's the stuff you're saying is intelligent stuff, and I'm glad I get to hear it, and I want people to hear it. And it's not just me. Like there's people, like us out there who want to help people. I want to help people. I try and help my friends when they're going through stuff. And a lot of people come to me, and I hate seeing people who could be happy not being happy.
Every man I meet that I open this conversation with, I go to the gym every day. I'm surrounded with men, soft ones and tough ones, and they're all there. It's interesting. I can sniff them just looking at them.
That's very much an LA gym too.
But yeah, but interestingly enough, like men have been so shamed out of even thinking what we're saying that they don't talk about it, right? But everybody is completely aware of it, right? They don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't have the right to say, "Bitch, shut up." Enough of your shit, right? Like now, you would never really say that, but like you want to, as in, like, stop. Like that's not cool, right? Like they don't speak up. They don't stand up. They don't say, I'm not comfortable with this, right? Like they don't, so they kind of keep acquiescing. But the moment I open the conversation, dude, we're all saying the same thing. The sweet one, the soft ones, the feminine ones, the artist, and the man all say the same thing. This is all bullshit. Forget these women. Sick of it. I don't want to compete. I don't want to get pushed around. I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to be controlled. I don't want anybody to, go off at me because I didn't do it her way. I'm not gonna do it her way. I'm not interested. Like, so the disconnect is huge. Like everybody know, but men aren't even allowed to talk about it.
No, I've had this issue performing. There's very few rooms. I can do it outside the city, but like in a place like Boston, New York, it's very tough for me to do a certain material because
the women will turn on them.
And it's couples, and the guys will. I have a joke about how women stop giving blowjobs to their husbands, and women think it's great, and the guys just sit there with their heads down. I'm like, stand up for yourself. Come on. I'm a firm believer that a man is supposed to be in a leadership position if he does it right. And
appropriate leadership, right?
Yes, inspiring
leadership, like appropriate. I call it appropriate use of force.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like be the rock, own it gently with her.
Yeah, and not in a I'm going to dominate you kind of thing.
Right.
But you want to be here with me. I'm not forcing it.
And by the way, instinctively, women want to be led by man.
Yeah.
But the man has to know who he is and where he's going, so then she could follow him. But in our culture, again, when we dismantle manhood and masculinity, and you're supposed to be passive, right, and do very little and just be a good guy. These guys don't know who they are. They don't know where they're going. So women can hitch onto him. Right, the guy doesn't know who he is or where he's going. I can't follow somebody who doesn't know where he's going, and that's a big thing that keeps going around in my world. Like some women are wanting to be led, right? They want to be feminine, and so some of them have a sense of that, but the men aren't leading. Right, we've shamed that out of them. Women naturally, instinctively want to be led appropriately, right, by man, but men have to wake up as well, and you have to know who the hell you are, where you're going. Otherwise, no woman can follow you.
Are most of your clients women or couples or?
I do both, but
I
have more. It's interesting. I have a lot more women coming at me than anything else. Women,
really?
Yeah, women are always constantly like. Again, it's part of their instinct of, like they question everything they do all the time, and they just have to. They have an instinctual need and urge to find out if it's their fault. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Is that the way I said it? Is the way I said it? I think irritated them. Like they're constantly looking for what did I do, right? Is the running system. So they're always looking for information. If she can't get a relationship or attract the same type, like they're looking for answers because they take it all personal because they take everything personally. That's part of their system. Men don't. Men just are men, and when it's not working, they step out. So men typically, as much as women are always looking for this information, men aren't. Men will say to me like, "Oh, I don't know, she hates me right now," but I go, "Well, you probably should find out what's going on with what's not working," because a woman will be patient. This is another interesting thing. I think women will be patient with a man that they marry or not, but like be patient for years, right? She sees a good guy in him sometimes, but that's irritating and that's not working and that right. And so the woman will be patient, hoping. He does it different, not knowing how to negotiate. This is usually the case more than anything else. It's not knowing. And eventually 10 years, 15 years, and if she goes click, oh, I'm done, fuck this. The moment she clicks, it's over, right? So men don't know this, right? She's patient, she takes a shit, he doesn't know what's wrong, but then she comes down and it's fine the next day. So they think it's okay, not understanding that she has a limit, right? So women look for the information all the time, trying to manage this and understand this and see they're part of it. Men think it's all right. And they say this to me, right? Like, she hates me. Like, for the past 5 years, like, she used to be so lovely, and she freaking just, I see her change when I walk in the room. I go, dude, that's a problem. Like, what are you gonna do about this? Oh, I'll figure it out. Well, how are you gonna figure it out? You don't know anything. Well, I'll figure it out. Like, that sort of instinct to fix, not even knowing how to fix it. But so men are really stupid that way, and aloof. I'll figure it out. You don't know anything, you fuck. Right?
Very ego driven.
Well, they come to me when she says divorce, and now, oh shit, now we have a problem, and I don't know how to fix it. She wants to leave me. How could she leave me? We have 3 kids. She's been trying to tell me for 10 years, you dumbass, right? But like, you're thinking, it'll blow off. It doesn't blow off. It collects. The moment she clicks off, and the bad news is when a woman says, I want a divorce, I'm done with your shit. When the switch has been flipped, it doesn't come back.
Yeah.
It doesn't come back. She's done.
No,
She's giving you 10, 15 years. It's done. And now the guys are looking for help. Well, it's too late. So I have a lot of women instinctively come look for information. They look for the information to find a relationship, to be healthy in a relationship, to understand a man, to understand what makes a man commit, what makes a man step up. Why do men commit? They don't know. And men can't explain it. They're just, reactive. They can't explain it. Right? So I can explain it. This is the work that I do. So women look for the work, men don't. So I do a lot of more women because they don't be 100 miles an hour, especially now that everything's upside down. They know they could tell nothing's working, and they get a little bit older, they get scared of spending the future alone. Like, couples are invested, so there's a lot of good stuff in that because now they know things that they could see the thing falling apart. So they'll come at me like they come at a therapist, but what I do is different, much faster. I just need to say that. Men, the problem with men looking for this information, they don't instinctively look for the information, and the ones who need it the most are the ones who don't work and can't afford to get somebody to help them. So it's bad.
How often is just lack of a communication a crux of a problem, you find?
All the time. Yeah. All the time.
I feel like it's probably the biggest problem.
All the time. And it's not, people, the communication thing is funny because it's tricky. People think, I look at you, I speak English, you understand the words I'm saying, I'm looking in your eyes, right? We're communicating. Right? First of all, men and women listen and speak differently completely. We don't know this. Because like I say, you and I can look at your face and go, blah, blah, blah. And right? We have the same, right?
Yeah.
But women listen differently and listen for different things, and men listen differently and hear differently, speak differently. So that in itself is problem number one that you have to dismantle so that you actually are communicating. Because people think communicating is using words. That's not communicating. If you think you're using words and you don't get the result that you want, you are not communicating. And most people don't get that. I've told him 16 times, you're not communicating.
Yeah.
He's not hearing you.
Clearly not.
Right? You can tell him all you want. That's not how he records it. That's not how he hooks on it. He doesn't understand it. You're miscommunicating. You don't need to tell anybody anything 16 times. He's not hearing you. You're doing it differently that he can understand, or he doesn't understand, literally. So this is the stuff that I teach, like the finesse in really communicating, right? And how to approach that, because again, 2 different machines, dancers, right? Build an opposition. How do you communicate? How do you approach respectfully? If you're going to deal with a man, you have to approach him respectfully. Otherwise, you're mothering him, and you're going to trigger the warrior in a man, which we are at our hearts, right? Even the soft ones. Yeah. There's a hunter there. There's a warrior there. If you come at me disrespectfully, I'm instantly going to have to push back on you. You're going to trigger the warrior. Now, even if you're right, I'm pushing back, and now I'm a jerk. I try talking to him. You can't even, well, you can't come at him that way because his instinct to defend everything will go against you. He'll defend himself from you. Come at the man come up to a man like a man, honey. You have a problem. You got to create a fight, even if you're right, right? So that's not how you do it. So then, how do you do this respectfully, right? That's the science. There's a science to this. There's a technique to this. There's a language to this. That's what I teach. So if you want men to respond to you and hear you and really communicate, there's a man, I call it Manglish. You have to speak Manglish. Sounds ridiculous. Factual. But the women that I teach Manglish to get everything out of their man because they know how to instinctively, magnetically, in a feminine way, bring out the hero in him. Fixer, because we're neurotic fixers. When you know how to do this, instead of telling him, disrespectful, respectful. Men just show up in their nature, fix, adjust, right? They say men don't change. Men will change, approach them the right way for the woman he cares for. Absolutely. They do all the time. They'll adjust.
Absolutely will.
Absolutely will. So men don't change is bullshit. It's not true. You have to know how to do it. You can't do it like his mother. You can't do it disrespectfully. You can't go after him. You can't trigger the beast in him and think you're going to get something on the other side. It won't work. So it's a little bit delicate, but it's like anything else you could learn. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the big one. Communication. People think they know communication and they don't. The same thing with men, by the way.
Well, on the other side of it,
the way to approach her, the way to ask for correction, the way to, makes her feel cherished in your request, as opposed to, criticize. Right? When you criticize a woman, if you notice this, you criticize a woman, you kill her.
Yeah.
The smallest thing. You could tell a girl, that color on you is kind of weird.
No,
you don't mean to criticize, but to her it's a criticism. I feel it's like you should probably know this. Like for men, criticism, men on men, is to be loving and helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you need to wake the fuck up. Right? You wouldn't say that to a guy unless you care for him. We know this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't waste my breath. So when we criticize women, we just want to help. Like, you need to know this. It's an input. To them, it's always a criticism. So this color on you is kind of strange, right? You will break her heart. Mm-hmm. You will make her sad in a moment, and she will never wear that color in front of you ever again. Ever again. It changes her forever. We don't know this. We don't know this, right? So that's what I'm teaching, right? Like, how do you negotiate your wants and needs with a woman in a cherishing way that she actually can hear you instead of hearing criticism and literally just breaking her down, and then you're the reason why she's broken more. How do you approach a man, negotiate your wants and needs respectfully, that he opens up, and you trigger his instinct to fix and to be your hero?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard, but nobody knows, right? When women are masculine, that goes out the window. When feminine, they go out the window.
I think it's very much just women being feminine. I went through an experience where I met a girl, and what you were describing about when you meet a fully feminine woman, it happened to me. And also, I felt something for her anyway. So combined together, I was like, oh, you calm me down.
Yeah.
This is something else.
It's enchanting, It is. When a woman is feminine, she's enchanting, she's charming, she radiates. And I just want to be near that and stay around that energy. I used to have another business years ago, and once in a while, it was a car repair business. So I get people that are upset or in trouble or frustrated, and women who feel they get taken advantage of in no situation, right? That's the exact opposite of who I am. But they would approach me that way, so they would get that out of me, by the way.
Yeah,
Just talk about disrespectful, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, but once in a while I would get I remember one especially, young girl, like mid-20s, comes in with all kinds of questions, wanted some help, but she was so respectful. She was so respectful of my time. She was so appreciative. She was so naturally feminine, right? You could tell she had a good father, because that's usually where it comes from, right?
It's so much of what it is,
so
unfortunately.
The way she was with me, even though we're doing logistical stuff, I spent 45 minutes giving her all of me in something that I could have taken 10 minutes for. I just didn't want her to go. I was delighted in that. Now, it wasn't sexual. I didn't want to do anything with her. I'm married. But it was so delightful to be the presence of that energy. I kept giving her more and more, and the more she asked, and I didn't want to. And I actually watched my employees looking at me, being all sucked into this woman just because she was lovely, and they were also enchanted in watching us interact, because her loveliness would shine. And again, I gave her way too much attention, way too much time, but I didn't want her to go. I was delighting in that energy, in that presence, in that I'm fully present, and I can't think of anything else but wanted to be a hero and answer all the questions and help her. Instinct. You know what I mean?
And it's surprising how much of it comes down from your parents, your relation with them, especially a girl's relation with her father.
Absolutely. And men with their mothers.
Yeah, it's very true.
Straight up. So it's interesting. So when I need, and I'm super focused on this stuff. Like now I can scan a room. I go in my gym and I scan the room and I see the boys and the men, I see the boys and the men, the ones that are not masculine, the ones that are masculine. They work out for different reasons, by the way. It's interesting. And I think that in my gym, it's huge. My gym is huge, like room after room after room. It's huge. And so far, I've met 2 girls in there. Every other female is a dude in little tight pants and every curve, everything up their cracks and everything pushed up and just like over the top sexual, dudes. They're dudes and it's wild. It's absolutely wild. It's a cultural pace. So out of an entire hundreds of people, 2 girls, and they're not at the same room at the same time. So I always see one girl There's one female in my entire gym, or one feminine woman in my entire gym, out of 200 that I see.
I'm curious, what do you think about this? I have my own opinions on it.
Mm.
This is something I experienced. It's been coming around a lot with younger people, and I saw it a lot in New York City.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on polyamory and open relationships? Is that feasible, or is that just people who don't know how to interact with one another?
It's there's nothing. Again, this is, it exists. Does it work? No. Does it go long term? No. It exists.
Think the same thing.
It's like, swingers exist. It's not unusual.
Yeah.
I mean, it is unusual. Swing exists, but for a woman to be sexual, to be treated like a piece of meat, to be after dopamine, because sex in itself is just dopamine creating, right? Men love dopamine. It creates it. It makes them feel alive, right?
Mm.
Women typically are craving oxytocin, the bonding hormone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually constantly looking for a different cocktail of hormones to feel good. Men feel good with dopamine. Women feel good with oxytocin. So men feel good when they conquer and push and win. Women feel good when they connect and talk and create bonds. That's how they feel good. So women who can actually have sex like men with multiple partners with a dick in every hole are actually masculine. They're broken women who can actually just, their joy in life is to get dopamine, and they're basically, their feminine essence is not typically sexually abused as little girls, horrible childhood, that kind of stuff. They're broken. I have to say, so again, your listeners could be offended.
I've come to these same conclusions myself.
They're broken. So you can never build a relationship with a woman like this. You'll never build a future that'll be solid. You'll have fun until she gets bored, until you get bored and you go fuck somebody else. It's man on man. There's no bond there, right? And men who can actually watch their wives or girlfriend can fuck with some other guy doesn't give a shit about her.
No,
right? These are men who don't love women. What comes with loving from a man, on both sides, but what comes with loving a person is a territoriality of this, right? Like, this is my woman.
Yes.
So the real man get offended if a guy is checking out a girl's ass in front of him. Like, you get punched. Now, there's natural territoriality to being in love. If there's no territoriality, how do I say that word? Say it for me.
Territoriality.
Thank you. When there isn't that from a man to his woman, he does not give a shit. You're a piece of meat, and he enjoys watching other men pork you. Honey, you can see he loves you all day long. He does not care for you. So on both sides, right? These are men that are broken on some level, or completely tapped into their, animal ways. Nothing about this is loving and lovable, or making love. It's just being animals. By the way, all that stuff is being animalistic. There's nothing of the human spirit in that. You know what I mean? So, but broken people will end up there thinking, my favorite is when every one of these polyamorous women say, I'm doing the same thing that she's doing, except, sometimes I get paid for it, so I'm the smartest one. I mean, well, you're an idiot. Yeah. you're an idiot to go ahead with that, right? But they justify it. But they're broken. In my world, they're completely broken. I had a friend, just last little bit on this, I had a friend at the gym who, when he found out what I did, he's like, oh God, I need your help. Okay, what's up? He goes, so we're married with 3 little kids, married 10 years with 3 little kids, right? Like a kind of thing. He works his ass off. She kind of floats around, works a little bit. I go, what's the problem? He goes, well, she's bisexual and she went back to women. I'm like, wait a second. You married a bisexual woman? He goes, yeah, dude, what we're dating was so much fun. She come home with a chick once in a while. It's the greatest. I was the luckiest guy in the world. I'm like, well, I see it as a 20-year-old, a 25-year-old. But you don't marry a chick like this, you idiot. You know what I mean? Like, she's never yours, right? And by the way, bisexual people, the people who want everything, they're very narcissistic, right? So what's happened is she decided that she was going to marry him because it was fun, and they were good in bed, made 3 kids, but now she's bored. So she went back to women. That's narcissism, right? Like, you can't negotiate with narcissistic. So if you want your cake and have it too, fantastic, be you, but don't have a relationship and don't have children. That's so simple. You can be all, I'm not judging, but you don't marry the chick who likes chicks, because the moment she's bored with you, and then what's happened is, the problem was this. So she was bored with him, you work too much, they don't have fun anymore. 3 kids, well, it's not about you. You have 3 kids now, like, hello, right? If you have normal. So she was going to get herself a girlfriend and decided she was going to move to Vegas with a new girlfriend, because now she's bored with her married life and her 3 kids, and she wanted him to pay for the kids to live with her in Vegas. I'm like, no, right? Like, talk about narcissistic. So people can do whatever they want. I'm not a moralist. I don't care. You can fuck anything. You can fuck like whatever you want, but there's natural, again, nature will come and get you in the ass, right? Like
Mhm.
nature has a system that works, and you can go against nature, and act like an animal as opposed to, I call the human spirit, a person who can see the bigger picture. Like if you want the goodies, there's a framework for goodies and discipline and the right thing to do, right? If you don't want any of that, that's fine. There's a price to pay, right?
Yeah.
What do you end up when you're 60 years old and a swinger? What kind of life is that?
This,
What kind of companionship do you have? None of this, right?
they're
So
not looking in the long picture, long road.
actually, most of them don't make it. They don't
Mhm.
pass their mid-50s. They don't make it. They actually die.
Suicide, addiction.
Suicide,
Yeah.
addiction, all kinds of stuff. They can't. They're so inside out. They're so broken that it catches up to them. So, I have all the freedom. I can do whatever I want in their youth, and I can fucking do whatever I want. Narcissism eventually kills them. It's interesting.
Yeah, I've healed myself a lot, and I grew up as a broken person, and I had a lot of broken sex with some broken people, and I used to be into BDSM because I met a girl who was into it, and then eventually I was like, I'm just sleeping with broken people too. This is just a way for us to deal with some trauma.
Yeah.
I just need to go to therapy and deal with this shit because me whipping you isn't going to fix it, and it's not going to help you.
And again, it will fade. It'll go away. Your dick will stop working. Nothing will be satisfying. There's and again, and I hate to say this, and I don't. Do I hate to say this? I don't need to say this. But be careful who you play with, because their shit becomes your shit.
Yes, it does.
So keep playing with broken people. Guess what's happening to you? Keep. I
It
say
comes
this all the
around.
time. You gotta become them. You gotta become one of them. Like what's interesting with human beings is that broken always wins.
Yeah.
Broken always wins. You can be a good person and you try to pull somebody up, and I'm going to help him. And ultimately, it's like when they're crazy, they'll pull you down. When they're unhealthy, they'll pull you down. When they're broken, they'll pull you down. Like the darkness in that way is stronger than the light.
Yeah.
So I always say, you get away from crazy. You can't negotiate with crazy. You can't talk with crazy. You can't, reason with crazy. It's crazy. Get away from crazy. So you want to be around broken. It's the same thing. You're going to become part of the brokenness. Just naturally, just energetically, right? And the price to pay at the end. What's that going to cost you? You can do what, like I said, I'm not a moralist. Do whatever you want. What's the price you're willing to pay? There's other people that have done this. You can talk to me and go, what was the problem with this? What was the end result? Go find people who've done it. I can tell you, dude, like, oh, good Lord, if I'd have known, it seemed like a good idea at the time. This is what it cost me.
I'm lucky that it obviously in entertainment, I meet a lot of people like this who've been down the road, some who got out of it, some that don't.
Yep.
And some of the older comics and entertainers I meet will tell me, like, dude, I wish my friend told me not to marry her. He said, don't marry that crazy stripper who does coke.
Yep.
And I did.
Yeah. Don't bring him this, the bisexual girl and have 2 kids with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, where's that gonna go? She's like.
I when I was in New York, I would hook up with polyamorous women, and they would always give me a set of rules that they like, hey, we have to use a condom, we have to do this, I can't do this with you. And then the rules were out the window after the first time we fucked, every time. And I was like, this, and they always say it's ethically why do you feel the need to consistently throw ethically in there unless you feel like what you're doing deep down inside is unethical?
Right. And again, like nature will sneak up on your ass, right? And you'll feel less than, and you won't know why. But again, broken pieces, so mend the pieces. My clients come from terrible history backgrounds, like abuse, sexual abuse, you name it, kind of shit. Like within the family immediately, just horrible shit. But refuse to make that their lives, and very quickly understand at one point, that this will lead to nothing good, and they get to work, and they get some help, and they push through their shit, and they, discipline their habits, discipline, and resist their urges that will take them down the same path. And it's difficult, right? It's difficult. Not having to deal with this is a much easier life. However, a lot of people dealing with this kind of stuff handle your shit. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of your shit, and you will pay with the quality of your life. That's too expensive in my world. That's way too expensive.
I as you can say, the end result, you live both sides of this life. The end result of loving a family is an amazing thing.
Dude, yeah.
I try, and a lot of younger guys are, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this acronym. It's called Mgtow.
Of course,
and
forever.
Men go their own way.
Mgtow, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that too. I mean,
I've talked with a lot of guys about, I'm just done with women. And I go, don't don't throw it all away, man.
Right,
don't
right.
don't just walk. I know it's daunting, but you can get through it.
Well, the thing is, they've lost these guys. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, we're good.
I'm saying like a lot of these guys are men who they feel that they were naive, right? They wanted they wanted to be the man, and they wanted the relationship and the kids and the life and the family. But again, not knowing how to communicate, this generational stuff as well, and some of the stuff. Some of the older guys who just wanted to be fathers and husbands and do the work and have a home and a place to land at the end of the day and have all those goodies of life, but not understanding dynamics, relational dynamics, men and women, not understanding what she needs that he can't see because he doesn't need that, and vice versa. And they're not, but some of these guys who really had no intentions. I have a brother-in-law like this who was just a good guy doing what guys do and went to work and raised his family and put a roof over their heads and pay for everything. And as soon as his last kid at 2 went out to college the next week, she moved out with everything, and he never knew. He never fucking knew. That story is so common.
It's so common. It's so.
But you know
common.
what? So women who don't, again, it's not knowing it's women and men, but men who never knew for 30 years that she was unhappy. Never for 30 years that his way was, she felt controlled or pushed around or neglected or not talked to or disconnected or that he was shallow. Like, never told him. So he thinks he's doing great.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Naive, if you want to say, because we know that the relationships are delicate and so many layers, so you have to keep opening the channels. Are we doing okay? How we doing? We doing okay? How you feel about us? Right? They have to go check in, right? And get to but people don't talk. So how often? So these guys don't recover from that shit. Right? Never recover from that shit. And these have become anti-women. These become women hater.
Yeah.
My wife's brother, who this happened to, fucking hates women. He gave his heart and his life to this woman and his 2 kids. Again, he didn't do it right. She didn't do it right. Nobody fucking talked about it.
Yeah.
But when the kid's she hangs in there. She hates him all the way through till the kid's out of college, and it takes the house, empties it, goes, fuck you. I've always hated you. You're a piece of shit. They don't come back, right? So these guys are like, fuck women. Forget them shit. They're all liar. They tell you some stories, right? Blindsided. And now turning the kids against them, taking half of his life. Like, he never saw that coming. Unfair, by the way. But, it takes 2, again.
Yeah.
They do all the time. But my point is, these guys, like, what he's doing right now, which is Mgtow, is he's telling every young man, his son, his nephews and stuff, don't ever trust a fucking woman. Again, they're all whores. They're gonna try to, they'll smile in your face to get you to marry them, and then as soon as they can, they take all your shit. They're turning kids against you. They're insane. They're angry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And same with women who hate men, right? They both who have both parties that are broken and destroying everything. But like, it's horribly sad. So now these men who actually just felt taken are warrior with a vengeance, trying to destroy women and everything that they were naive about and warning every other boy. And so women do the same thing on that side. But, so that's not good, right? That's like, if you're gonna go out and destroy everything in the name of justice, dude, go get yourself fixed. But like I said, these men don't recover very well from a broken heart of being deceived and or betrayed at that level. Like, their hearts don't recover, and so what they do, they become beasts. And it's not cool.
No, I've seen it, unfortunately. And one of my lady listeners, she told me about dating. She's a middle-aged woman, and she said it's tough out there because most of the guys I'm dating are newly divorced and their wives completely did something like that, and they're just like, their contempt for women or their fear of being hurt again is so massive that it destroys the potential for anything.
There's no potential for anything. Like, get this, by the way, 2 things that's interesting, I think. Like, there's such a thing, there's a real thing. You've heard about the broken heart syndrome?
Can you explain that?
Broken heart syndrome. Men dying from a broken heart when they're older, after menopause, right? When they're more sensitive, more estrogen-y, less testosterone-y, right? If they feel betrayed by the women in their lives, whether it's the wife for 30 years or the new wife, you know what I mean? That they get betrayed, she leaves him, she dumps him, she has an affair with somebody else, actually died. It's called a Katasubo cardiomyopathy heart attack. They so betrayal that their heart, from the pain of being betrayal, heartbroken, the bottom of their heart fills up with water and they die. It's called a broken heart syndrome. And on some level, when you talk to men about this, they all know about it instinctively. Like, I just taught it to you, but men typically know that their heart is in danger when they fall in love, especially when they're older. So after getting their hearts broken one time, most guys cannot even consider giving their hearts again a second time. It's dangerous to their health. They might die. It's interesting, right? Like, so it's insane. So that's one of the things that women are dealing with, when guys are older and divorced and have been. So if you're looking for an older gentleman, if you're an older woman, try to find a guy who is a widower. They're not carrying that load. They're actually missing their wives and they're missing the company of women. They're not in the place of reactivity, fear of being betrayed again and dying, literally. So they know they might die. It's crazy. They don't give their hearts easily. So widower is not broken. They're just, mourning and don't want the companionship because they don't want to be left alone, especially when they get older. So that's one thing. So that's the big thing to understand about the male psyche when they get older. It's very, very important. So they move very slowly towards the woman they're interested in, and slowly, because there's a danger of getting their hearts broken and die. You see it? You feel that?
I've seen it, but I just never had that description. I've seen that happen to older men at work.
It's an actual condition. It's an actual
crying at work, and you go, "What's Johnny crying about?"
Broken hearted. Yeah, and some never recover. Like some men, just the one time, the one divorce or one marriage, never recover, ever recover. They won't give their hearts. The other thing, this is back to Mgtow, is that when men are betrayed that way, and it's a relatively still young man and want relationship. They don't want a relationship because they don't want to get taken advantage again of being broken again like this, right? So what they do is they become the worst offender of women.
Yeah.
Women are just to be abused because they are so broken, you know what I mean? So they become like my sister's brother, I hate to say, but it's a lot of men around me who now are turning, as much as we teach men to be gentlemen, to be loving and kind, and to take care of women, they become exact opposite. They lie, they say anything to get her out of her clothes, they fuck the shit out of her for a while, they disappear knowing it's killing her. And they go and destroy women. They're so angry, they go and destroy women to do exact opposite of our instinct and nature. The nature that we protect and provide for women and keep them safe. Men, broken-hearted men, become the offenders and the level that young men do. Not young men do it for identity, fighting themselves. All the gentlemen do it out of revenge. Guys, we have a problem.
Yeah, I've encountered a lot of women who've unfortunately been a victim of that, and it's tough to help them get through it because that stuff stays with them for forever.
It's soul crushing. It's soul crushing,
And so I've actually just reminded me of something I really wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
I'm curious to your thoughts on this. Is there any advice or approaches you would give someone for dating a single parent? Right? Because I feel like that's something I hear a lot and encapsulates a lot of potential problems.
Yeah, that's a difficult one in a few layers because what happened? There's a failure over there, right? Like who pulled the trigger on what? What is the dynamic of why did the thing fall apart? That's important, right? Was that did she lose respect for him because he didn't handle his stuff? That means that's a normal woman. You know what I mean? So she had to get rid of the man who she didn't respect. If you're a respectable man, you'll be fine with that girl. You know what I mean? Or was she disrespectful that no man can stand up to her? Because men feeling disrespected is a kiss of death. Eventually, they have to get away from you. So they see that she is a trigger for the thing to fall apart, or he was the trigger for the thing to fall apart. That's something to look into. So if I'm a man, knowing that I had a client that went to move because I feel so bad for that one. She lives in Los Angeles here and had to fly. She rekindled with a friend from years ago who had been married and divorced, and because they'd been friendly, they knew each other from years and years and years from the outside. Kind of started this romance over the telephone. I need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, we can pause it.
Just pause this for a second.
Yeah, take your time.
Because now I can't really think. Hold on.
No, I can cut this out later on. It's all good.
Okay, perfect. Hold on. That's so distracting. It's so ridiculously distracting.
It's all good. We can take a break whenever.
Beautiful. So, yeah, this client that I had, anyway, so we kindled this thing online with this guy that she knew for years, so I felt safe and connected already, blah, blah, blah. And a divorce, 2 kids, divorced from his wife. And oh my God, he was kind of sneaky. He was a boy who basically wanted a mother, right? Not a wife, he wanted a mother. So that's a paradigm of softening men. They want mothers, not wives. They don't want to take care of anybody. They want you to take care of them, right? It's a whole different mindset. But she didn't know that. She didn't. Anyway, next thing you know, she got on the plane and moved. I think it's Boston. To move with this guy that she had this online romance, but she knew him, so she thought, and it turned out to be a boy. And so within 2 months, 2.5 months, she realized she was in hell. That he wanted to, she was in charge of everything. He didn't want to do anything. He was a complete boy, take care of the kids. He didn't even want to work. He wanted her to work. It's ridiculous story, like ridiculous, like boy, 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 boy. And I go, how the hell did you get in that? Because I wasn't deep in that enough to help her, and she kind of kept it from me until she's coming back. And I go, and she almost like fucking was devastated, right? Like devastated because she fell in love over the computer. And I go, why did they get divorced from his wife in the first place? What was the reason of the divorce? Well, she goes, she totally lost respect for him. A woman loses respect for a man is because he's not a man, which is exactly who he was, right?
Yeah.
That guy was such a loser, dude. Like the one day she went to visit him one time before she decided to move there. And the one time she takes a trip, he doesn't come to LA. She has to come to go to Boston, bitch. Right? First of all, he can't be bothered. She has to travel. Really? But no, I get this. So when she gets to Boston the first time for a visit, a weekend visit, he left her at the airport for 2.5 hours.
Oh my God.
I'm like, that wasn't a sign for you? This guy's absolutely no accountability. There's no man in there. He's got a bunch of excuses why he was late. Not 10 minutes late, not half hour late, 2.5 hours. So lost respect for, so this was a boy, not a man, right? So if you're talking about, relationship with, with divorced people and, with children, like who did what? What happened? Where is the disconnect? Is it him or is it her? So that's something to investigate into. The second thing is, if you're going to start a relationship with somebody who has children, a lot of women insist on that, and it's a terrible mistake. That, the kid has to like you too. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that, I'm shaking my head. No. What I mean by that is no. Like another way to destroy children is to keep introducing another guy and another guy and another guy and another guy and another guy. This is how the kid himself will call his mother names when he gets older.
Yeah.
Right? You can't do that. Whether it's a boy or girl or whatever. You do not introduce your new boyfriend, your new girlfriend, your new lover to your kids. You can't do this. You're going to destroy them. Right? So if you want a long-term relationship, right, grow and nurture that relationship. And you have to, by the way, it takes a whole year to get to know somebody. People have done that way. They forget this stuff. It takes a whole year to get to know somebody and to see if you actually have a potential future with somebody. Do not introduce your kids to this new person until then. You understand what I'm saying? You twisted their brains. So if in a year from meeting somebody, you see the future together, you want to make a plan for the future together, you're compatible, do you want the same thing in the future, and are you ready to make a commitment for the future, then you pull the kids in. That's the only thing that's fair for the kids, right? If you're having a boyfriend and you're hoping it's going to work out, and you screw around with the guy for 6-7 months, and you break up, and you break the kid's heart. Like they get attached to them, right? Like a boy will get attached to the guy, the new boyfriend. The little girl will get attached to the little girlfriend, and you can't do this. So understand when you have children, the damage you have. It's not about you anymore. I hate to say this, but people forget. I need to be happy. Well, yeah, but you made a life.
Yeah.
Right? So get over yourself a little bit, and you can have a boy on the side or a girl on the side. Leave the kid out of it. If you just want to have fun, if you're hoping, don't get in part of this. You're going to destroy them, right? Have your fun. If you just want to have sex, don't leave them separate, right? The next thing that's complicated is something to think about. Again, if you want to think quality of life and a future, right? Discipline yourself to get the good life. And this is tricky, but there's so much of that. If you're married, if you date a girl and plan to marry a girl who has a child, it's never going to be the both of you. What I mean by that is what you're stepping into is you, her, the ex-husband, and the kid. This is what you're stepping into. Now, how is she getting along with the ex-husband? What kind of dynamic they have together? Typically, it's adversarial, especially if a breakup, somebody's hating somebody else. Some divorces are amicable. They're not necessarily the norm, right? So again, my little brother would do this. He found this girl, she's amazing, she has a kid. The kid and her hate the ex-husband. I says, this is gonna be your life. You know what I mean? This is gonna be your life. So, okay. I mean, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying eyes open. Right? Like, are you willing to deal with this? You know, and a lot of guys, again, get to know a girl, then meet the kid, and then also get the whole story, the family, the dynamic, and he's never going away because he's got a kid and he's got to pay child alimony and he's get custody of the kids. You know, I mean, that's not just you and her, right? It's the four of you all the time. 5 of you, there's 2. 6 of you, there's 3. This is your life, you know, and then that is complicated, and often that will keep men from really stepping in because it's too fucking complicated.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you really like the girl, but this is too fucking complicated. My life is fucking hell. I'd like to have a wife and somebody, you know, somebody who's happy and joyous and feminine and lovely and you know, mine. But you're marrying the whole past.
Yeah, you're getting the family and the past.
So it's possible, it's doable. Some people manage to do it well, but it's fucking complicated, right? So again, just keep yourself in check, right?
Yeah.
Look into it, find out what happened, watch the dynamic, and don't involve the kids too early. That's just shitty and selfish. It's not about you. It's not about you. Woo! Sorry, I just preach.
No, this is people. I want to hear this. People want to hear this, and it's this. So I guess it's a question for younger people. I'm going to ask you because this is something I've heard a lot.
Yeah.
Young men ask this a lot, and it's a term that keeps getting thrown around now, which is body count, right? Which means how many people you slept with.
Yeah.
And a lot of young guys, if I've heard them ask this, they've asked me this. I'm curious your take on it, because young people are obviously more promiscuous than they've ever been. Especially young women, you know, certainly more promiscuous than their mothers and way more than their grandmothers.
Straight up. It's in a culture.
So do you think that's going to matter? Was it going to matter at the end of the day whether the girl you're dating has been with 3 partners or 50 partners or even more? Or it could be vice versa. You know,
I hate to say, we'll go back to nature, right? Nature has double standards.
It does.
What's normal for a male is not normal for a woman. What's good for a girl is not good for a boy, vice versa, right? So there's double standards. This is what the culture is trying to eliminate.
Yes.
Stereotypes, double standards. Sorry, it's nature. You're not
it's part of our reality.
You can't undo it. It's not a cultural thing. It's nature, right? There's archetypes. There's hierarchy of power. There's dynamics. There's masculine and feminine. Everything is a dance, right? You can't neutralize everything. It's unnatural. In nature, there's nothing in nature that's equal.
No.
Watch every species. The male and the female do not act the same, do not do the same thing, are driven by a whole different type of instinct to survive. Nature. So fight it all you want. Back to nature. You can go against it. We can. Women can act like men. Men can act like women. You can do whatever you want. It's going to work for a while. What the price you're going to pay at the end. So back to nature. What's that ridiculous joke? It's not funny, but like, how come it go?
The key joke?
The key joke, right?
Yeah.
So tell the joke.
Well, it's that a key that can open any lock is a master key. A lock that can be opened by any key is a shitty lock.
Right. So back to virtuous women or lack of virtuous. So a guy who gets a lot of action is a stud. A girl who gets a lot of action is a slut. Again, call it whatever, unfair, but in nature, right? He tries to spread his seed as much as he can, right? Again, but it's an instinct for productive, for continuing the species. It's essential, right? So every guy, you know, if you just count the eggs and the sperm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, a woman in her lifetime will be able to produce 300 to 400 eggs, period. Men produce up to 1.2 billion sperm cells per ejaculate. Yeah. Count the pieces. Count the eggs and count the sperm. Per one ejaculate in a billion. That's depending on flow and age, kind of thing. But so the eggs is precious. The sperm is disposable. You know, one female can produce 1 kid at a time, right? So where one male can impregnate hundreds of women. You know what I mean? So in nature, the female has the power. The males are always trying to get on top of her. The alpha males are fighting who's going to get on top of her. She's going to watch the fight and get turned on by the big strongest one because he's make the better offspring. That's all nature. We're going to do the exact same thing. The guy that the most resources is the sexiest. He can be short and bald, but he's got resources, he's got money, he's got swag, and he takes her on a private jet. Like, that's swag, right? You know what I mean? Resources is sexy, right? In nature, is strength and musculature and size that is sexy. Good offspring. So for female, it's different. There's different ways of being resourceful and what's attractive to men. But in a sense, it's like in nature, power is attractive to women. For males, what's attractive is youth. Not because it's shitty, because youth is fertile. Youth is easy. Youth is full of estrogen. Youth is the opposite of the estrogen is the polarity for the testosterone, right? And in nature, again, what do the females do? The men come around, they fight with each other, right? And there's cycles. People forget we're cyclical human beings. Everything in nature is cyclical. 24-hour day, 7-day a week, 30 days a month, or 31 days a month. Seasons, right? Year, decades, millennial, like
menstrual cycles.
Menstrual cycles. Like everything's a cycle. The sun, the moon, everything's a cycle. Everything as a system on a cycle. So the idea that none of this is affecting us is ridiculous, right? We're machines. So in nature, get this, in all nature, every creature, unless I know something, this is my knowledge, every species has cycles of reproduction. Like you cannot buy a kitty in February. There's no kittens in February because they reproduce in the spring.
Yeah.
Right? You can't find a kitty for Valentine's Day. You can't find one. They don't have them. They don't make kitties in the winter. Spring is when kitties are born. Cyclical, right?
Yeah.
In every species in the world that I know of, though, unless there's some bug in Zimbabwe.
I was just explaining this with hunting. Why you hunt deer in the fall, because right before they get pregnant.
Of course. So in nature, cyclical. So only when she's in heat does she creates the needs or has the need hormonally, instinctively to reproduce, right? The guys are always trying to mount her. She's always sitting down. No, not the time. No, not the time. No, not the time. Right? It's not time for reproduction. Now, the cyclical, only dogs, by the way, are like us. Only dogs and humans screw and make babies whenever. The rest of the planet is all in cycles.
Yeah.
So we kind of dismantle nature on some level that way, right? We kind of dismantle that part like we do with dogs. Interesting. So it is the woman that's always had the power of reproduction. The choice of mate, the big one, the strong one, the alpha one, right? In all in nature. So we have an instinct that virtue in women is virtuous, right? So if imagine back in the days, right? Like caveman times. This is kind of what it breaks it home easily because we get out of all cultural beliefs and stuff.
Yeah.
But imagine back in the caveman when people live in small, like tribal, right? Like back in the days between like 15 to 25 was typical apparently human tribes, right? Not 50, not 200, 15, just smaller system, 15 to 35, I think. Was the average, and they were very nomadic, right? So they would plant somewhere, use the land, use the resources, wear them out, and then move again and go somewhere else and use the land, use the plants, and wear it out. You know what I mean? Like take all the resources to survive, but they're constantly nomadic, all constantly moving. So nature, the young girl, let's say the young girl in the camp who would go from tent to tent at night, from different tent to get some action or feel safe or get somebody to, like put in his tent, after he gave her a chicken leg. The girl who'll go with any caveman for the chicken leg. He feeds her, he protects her, he feeds her, come into my TP, right? We'll get a roll. You know what I mean? So if the girl keeps going from tent to tent every night or twice a week or whatever, like everybody knows this, right? And now the biggest insult in the animal kingdom and for human males, whose baby is that? Right? So instinctively men go, if you're slutty, if you lose, if you go around for a chicken leg and just to feel safe that you hook up with anybody, I can't trust you.
Yeah.
Is this my kid? Because the biggest insult to males and caveman is to spend his energy, his time, his resources, his power on an offspring that's not his.
Exactly.
The ultimate insult. By the way, back to nature, get this. By the way, this is insane, and people would forget how nature is amazing. This is why when the baby's born, they always look like the father. So you can tell who the father is. That's how they did it back then. Now we have DNA tests. The baby, at the very beginning, always looks like the dad.
So he knows, I want to take care of this.
More than the mom. You can see the kid's face. It looks like that's right. So again, but it's still a question mark, right? Today we have DNA tests. My point is, the biggest insult is to take care of a girl, to feed her, to tend her, to protect her, to provide, protect, feed her, put her under your roof, when she's screwing 3 other guys in the camp. Whose kid is that? So men of his instinct, the women who are loose, not virtuous, are not to be trusted. They don't marry them. They want nothing to do with them. So I'll have fun with you, but I'm never going to try to protect you.
I'm not going to invest in you or protect you.
I can trust you. Big mistake. So in a culture, we say, girls, have sex, you get yours like men do it, right? Men do it. Well, again, nature, right? Men are supposed to do it. And when men make a commitment, they get a hold, they wrangle in their sexuality for the sake of commitment, right? So they literally wrangle in their nature, be good men, and use that energy to provide and protect and build a life more so that you waste it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this conscious thought, and men are happy when they're ready to do this for women. But if you can't trust you, honey, so, in our culture now, it's like after 3 dates, a normal girl, this is standard, we'll put out. I like him, he likes me, he spent $200 like $300 on dinner the past 3 days. Let's start something.
Mm-hmm.
And what they don't realize is, even though he wants it because his body wants it, his instinct wants it. We talked about the raging hormone stuff that we have, right? And it's also, by the way, there's also a test in that. Is she gonna let me fuck her? Is she gonna let me in? I don't know her. She doesn't know me. But hey, can I get lucky? There's a test in that. Subliminal, typically. If he gets lucky, he's gonna tell everybody he got lucky. But he ain't gonna marry her. Can't trust her. He did nothing to show that he's a good guy, that he's trustworthy, that he's, got character, that he's able, wanting, willing to provide and protect her, that he wants to cherish her and make sure that she feels good and safe. And, he's that guy that he didn't have to do anything but buy dinner. And so women make the mistake. How come men just want sex? Because you train them to just have sex.
Yeah.
You don't train them to say, I like you too, but unless I know where this is going, I don't have sex with men. What do you mean? I just said it. Like, I like you, and I see that we have chemistry, and I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you like me and want to take me upstairs. However, I don't have casual sex. I need to know what the future looks like. I'm old-fashioned, and I'm looking for a long-term relationship with a man who's going to want the same thing. I don't have casual sex. You go up in value right away. Boop, 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 right? Despite not having sex, that men find you valuable. Men marry virtue, not vaginas. Your vaginas.
There's a lot of them.
There's plenty of them out there. Vagina's everywhere. Vagina is now worthless. It's everywhere.
it's very ubiquitous.
The one thing that women have, that men will do anything for, you give it away for free.
Yeah.
And you wonder why men don't step up. It's like giving a kid chocolate every day and then trying to get him to eat his vegetables. Yeah, good luck. Why would he eat his damn vegetables? You got him used to chocolate. You know what I mean? So I'm simplifying it, but like, if you're going to be a free girlfriend or a free wife, put out with him having to put no effort, he can't trust you. Now it's not a thought process. It's his limbic caveman brain that says, not her. And men will then move on and have fun with you until he gets bored when he's looking for a virtuous woman. A wife material, right? They say this, like, there's girls I play with and girls that I want to take care of.
Exactly.
And if you play with them too early, even if you saw you as maybe wife material, you're going to get in the pile of just to play with.
How do you think we train people out of this? Is it just going to be, I feel like it just has to come from a proper home life. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, because my clients have done, have had these horrible beginnings or understanding, and with sexual abuse on women, the switch is.
That's true. I had a shitty home life myself, and I'm better now.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really understanding, negotiating with yourself, like, is this getting me towards the life that I'm be proud of, or I'm just pissing it all away? Like, as soon as we get 30s plus. For most humans, we start questioning everything. Like, women come at me with this whole trying to understand men and trying to understand to build a relationship by the age of 35. Before that, there's no thought. It's just going to school, pushing through. Like, it's all cultural stuff pushed in. And then at 35, they realize, well, hey, like, I'm kind of getting tired of this, and I really like to have some companionship, and I think I want a husband, maybe a couple of kids. Like, it just kind of creeps in. Nature kind of pushes in. You know what I mean? And men typically have done all the frivolous stuff, and when they get about the 30, they start going, well, they look for quality women. They want something more in life. It's not all about their dicks anymore. Like, there's a maturity kicks in. So all of us, it's interesting. They say, regardless of what kind of bullshit life you had as a kid, difficult and abusive, whatever, in early midlife, you have a chance to fix it.
Yeah.
He'll smack you in the face, and then it goes, do you still want more of this, or you can do something else? These are my clients. They come in with, I don't want this anymore, and I don't understand how to do it. Help me, right? So we kind of all get a second chance to do the right thing. And what's the right thing? What's everything for you? What is it that you want? You want a marriage, a long-term relationship, a couple of kids? Okay, well, what does that requires? Having your shit together as a man, having a good character, having something like a financial system that works so you can have the resources to take care of yourself and somebody else, because she's going to need you to take care of her when she's pregnant, if that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
She can't work full-time and have a kid if you want it, if you're normal, if you want the kid to be raised by somebody else, if you want the kids to be raised by the system, the nanny or the school, like, really? So most guys don't want that. So,
No.
right? So get your shit together so you can support her when she's pregnant. She'll go back to work sometimes afterward. Typically when the kid goes to, 5 years old, when they go in first grade, there's a pause, because women want to raise their children if they're normal.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want them in daycare at 3 months old. It's ridiculous.
Well,
some
being raised by a nanny.
Right. So I wonder why kids can't bond and have all these relationship problems that we see. Right. That's part of it, by the way. So kids need bonding. Anyway. So
no, I agree, man. I hammer this home. I don't understand how you can have a relationship with your child if you don't raise them personally.
It's cultural again. You think women have to be, women are more than mothers and wives. So you have to be mother, wife, and badass businesswoman, make some money, equality. No. You could have all of this in segments, not all at once. You can't do it all at once. It'll kill you. And just anyway, so that's a whole different topic they could talk for an hour, 3 hours about. My point is, so it's we all get a chance to redo it or rethink it or do it a different way. And when you get a bit of maturity and you go, like me on the road, like this isn't going to give me nowhere except a whole lot of fun and some cash. But how do I put that on a resume? That's ridiculous, right? Go back to work, go back to your life, go back to your dream, and you plan. You know what I mean? So sometimes it requires tough decisions and discipline to build something for a better future. There's the people that discipline themselves in the moment who plan, calculate, and structure their future. Those are the ones who are winning.
When did you make this turn for yourself where you said, oh, this is what I'm going to do? I'm going to be a relationship coach and an author and a public speaker. When did you go from, dance teaching and go, this is what I'm doing. I'm all in.
It was phases of development of my life. So like I said, dance career for 15 years, travel the world, touring sounds glamorous. It's not glamorous after 15 years. It's not glamorous. It's life on the road, right? But it's satisfying and it's big. So it's impressive. But my wife and I had met in my class, like I said, a few years prior. And when we decided to start a family, I was not going to be in Europe for 2 months. I was not going to be an absentee dad. I was going to be present dad, more present than my dad.
Yeah,
that was a value system for me. Nobody put that in me. That was me.
That's important for me too.
So when we decided to start a family, we've been together for a few years because she's a ballerina, so we both travel all over the place. We did this for a few years. Fantastic. We get to be together and be, fulfilling in our careers. But ultimately, anyway, so that's when I quit traveling, and it was going to be working in Los Angeles only. I was not going to get on a plane to go anywhere to work. I was going to do the work in town. I was not going to do the work at all. But part of the way is because I was financially. So what I do, I come from a family of car guys. So I opened a car shop in Los Angeles. No brainer. Cars in Los Angeles, right? So like a collision repair facility, because I love classic cars in Canada, whatever.
Yeah.
So I get to like sort of my fix of restoring old cars and making money at the same time and still dancing. So that transition really quick, really quickly. The shop took over, and it was ridiculous for me to even consider continue dancing. And I was done with that. I was going to do it locally and whatever. So poof, phase 2 of my life. I'm now a business owner in Los Angeles. My business is 6 minutes from my house, and my house is 2 blocks from the school. So since my babies were born, I was at every recital, every meet, every Halloween costume party, every Halloween parade, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning. So it was not my wife; it's me and my wife with her children all the time. I set it up that way. I was always present. I was always there. I still am. Now they're grown teenagers. So that was my value system. So life 1 into life 2. Now I was always a teacher, right? Choreographing, dancing, it's all teaching. Right? I was a teacher at heart. As a guy who watched human beings in his entire life, never stopped doing that. Watch people.
Mm-hmm.
You get very sensory sensitive. I could look at somebody and feel them. At this point. This is from the practice since I was 5 years old. I could tell who you are just focusing on you over the computer. It's ridiculous. I don't know how that works. It's a little bit of I know it's what do you call it? It's being not an empath. What's the other word? It's
What ESP?
it's some version of that. I don't know. Explain. All I know is that it just is.
I know it's
we can all do
instinctual
it. Yeah,
survival techniques.
we can all do it. You know, I've just been practicing for so long that I sort of, anyway. So the teacher always watch a study of people, a fascination with the human condition. Always been me. Even at the shop, I was always teaching. Often I'd have people would open up to me and tell me everything. Like people, like I'm that kind of guy that people tell their deepest truth to. Like
I'm one of those too.
You too, right?
I'm
I'm not sure how exactly. They could see in your eyes, in my eyes, like somehow they feel safe and received and not judged for whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they just like it falls out of their faces. So I'm at my shop and I'd have to close the door because people are like crying. In front of me, like, I have to close the door. Hold on a second. Like, we need some privacy, right? Like, it spill, men and women. Anyway, so, and of course, I would coach them. I would help them. I had a lot of. I've always researched this stuff. So I was in personal development since I was 23 years old. So I had all this baggage and this knowledge and this, in business, money, relationship, life, myself, human beings, so that was my nature. It's always there. And in 2006, in the middle of a great business, I get invited to a workshop here in Los Angeles for free, because those weekend workshops, are expensive, hundreds and thousands of dollars sometimes, depending on the workshop.
Yeah.
I get invited to a free workshop from somebody I met, whatever. And so, you want to come to a workshop? It's on me next weekend. The company called me. I'm like, of course, because it was a Saturday or Sunday thing. I'm off on the weekend. And I go, oh, so I agreed to going without knowing what it was, because it's a workshop. I'm that kind of guy. Teach me something, anything. I'm curious. It's one of my default in my brain. Like, curious, I want to know everything. So it keeps me connected and always looking outward. Turned out the workshop was called. So what is it, by the way? What am I agreeing to? She goes, oh, it's called Understanding Women. Now, by then I'm married 10 years. The kids are like little. We're not looking. My wife is my angel. She's got 5 older brothers. She's easy to be with. She understands me without having to say anything. Like, her background, her life makes her a very easy companion, very, very easy companion, as a woman. Never tries to change me. She's just like, like smiles and walks away. Like, that's my man. Right? Like, so easy. Almost no maintenance. Never say stuff. How do you guys always? She's got 5 older brothers. She's seen it all. I can't even gross her. I can't even gross her out. I try to gross her out. We try to get gross sometimes. She's like this.
Is that the best you got?
That's all you got? That's all you got. Really? I have 5 older brothers. Anyway, so I'm not. I'm big, energetically, but there's only one of me. There's 5 of them. Not so much. She's like, whatever. Anyway, so we're talking about. I just was hoping to show my wife. We're just talking about.
You went to this seminar.
So yes, I
got down this road.
Understanding women. I've always attracted sweet women like my wife. That's never been my story's never been dramatic.
Yeah.
I've never done the screaming and yelling my friends did. I always attracted sweet women. So I thought it was me. Like, hey, I got it like this. Hey, I mean, that was my. So what are you gonna understanding women for 2 days? What are you gonna teach me? Like, now my weekend is gone. Fuck. I don't have any needs that like of any of this with my wife. Anyway, so I go in a little bit backwards, but I said I would. So I'm there. Take my word. And I walked in that room. There was 400 people in that room, and the vibe. I'm like, oh fuck, this isn't cute. There's some shit here. Like, I could feel the energy. Like, this is, huh? And the lady who ran the company, the show, the business, started talking, and by the end of the workshop, my brain was all over the wall, just all over the wall. and honestly, it scared the shit out of me, because I realized, I think 7 times during that workshop, I slipped right off my chair. Like, I fell off my chair. Like, what? You know what I mean? And I realized I knew nothing, zero, about women, which means I knew nothing, zero, about my wife. And I realized, if I don't know zero about my wife, the way, again, we're talking about communication and miscommunication, and they listen and hear for different things. They understand things different way. They assume stuff. They take things personally. Never my intention, but she will pick it up that way. It's so obvious to her what I just did. I didn't do this. No, it's so obvious. That's what you just said. That's not what I said. Yeah, I heard it. Right? Like, what? So this dismantling part is when I realized that I'm constantly, get this, That was the big one. There was 7 of those that fucking blew my mind. But the one, the fucking kick is that not only am I never my intention, by the way, my baby, my angel, right? I love my wife. I don't want to hurt her.
Yeah.
So without ever having any intention to do so, I'm constantly hurting your feelings. From a perspective. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you didn't say that. Right? Like, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you didn't do that. Like the filter, the way they process things, you have no fucking idea. I didn't either. Like, scared the fuck out of me. So now I realize, without any intention, I'm constantly hurting your feelings. And to her, the woman, not only is it obvious what I'm doing, but because it's so obvious that I'm doing that, I have to know that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So now I'm actually doing it on purpose.
Not
only am I hurting their feelings, I'm doing it on purpose. That's what it looks like to them.
That's when they say, I'm mad.
Fucking right? Are you fucking
and you go,
kidding
why?
Me? Right. No, seriously. Like, so this is a part that said the disconnect that we don't understand. This that we're not equals. We're different. There's a bunch of reasons why. Different. It's all instinctual stuff, by the way. You could break it all down now and understand it. But back then, right? So how long can a woman hang in there with a douchebag who is seemingly purposely hurting her feelings constantly, and he thinks it's okay? How long can you hang in there as a woman if you believe this? Hello? Right? That fucking scared the shit out of me. Now, I have to tell you, I have five siblings. I have 4 siblings with me. They're all separated and divorced twice, 3 times. One is on number 4. I got my baby girl. I have 2 little kids. I'm not going to fuck this up because I don't know. You know what I mean? But I knew nothing. And I got it. She says, I came home. She says, you white as a sheet when I got home. And I was. It scared me to understand what I didn't know about her and our dynamic in our relationship. So I dove into the company's entire curriculum. I did it for us. I did it for us to survive and not be a statistic because I didn't know.
Yeah.
Unacceptable for my brain. Unacceptable. I didn't know. Fuck that. Let's go find out. Right? Not knowing. It just, and I don't want to be like my brothers and my sister. Like having no clue is not okay. It destroys the kids, destroys the family. No. Right? So I went in, I took the entire curriculum of the company, like everything they had to offer, a bunch of workshops, paid for everything. And because I'm a teacher at heart, of course, guess what happened? They asked me to become one of their teachers, one of their workshop leaders. That was the beginning, workshop leader. Now I'm the guy in front, like I've been my whole life with a class or, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm teaching this material. And with that didn't really work out well. There was the politics of the company was shitty, though the material was incredible. I couldn't dance with them that way, like business wise. But the door is open to this is my mission. I want to teach this. I want to spread it around. I need to let people in on this, right? And then I continued studying with Dr. John Gray, Mars and Venus, Shanti Felhan in the South, Love and Respect, huge dynamics, incredible in the realm of the work. Dr. Esther Perel, who's now famous, she's a French lady, very French, and spent her career in New York City for 30 years in New York City, like helping couples with intimacy, cheating, and like repairing all this incredible shit. French woman, very, very, very. Now she's famous. She's everywhere. She lives at Esther Perel. Trained with her, and then my last piece was Dr. Pat Allen in Los Angeles, who's a family marriage child therapist for 46 years. I trained with her. She has a school where she trained like 5 of us at a time, 5.5 years. 3.5 years that I trained Dr. Allen and put this whole thing together. Like five masters in the field of relationships and human behavior that all connect in the realm of relationship. That's my life, right?
So that's what Project Equinox came from.
That's Project Equinox. So I know without any arrogance, if it's possible, that what I have, the cocktail of information that I have from the 5 angles and the 5 masters and my own research, that I think the stuff that I teach, what I do is untouchable. Untouchable. I can explain to you from a chemical point of view, from an anthropological point of view, from a relationship dynamic point of view, masculine, feminine point of view, from chemistry point of view. Dr. John Gray is all about that the past 10 years, especially. The chemistry of our bodies creates our thoughts and our behavior. We're not equals. Get over that. That's more damaging. That's more damaging, right? So in our culture, it's all about equality. Equality in love dynamic is the kiss of death. It's good for business and money. And the love dynamic is a kiss of death. That's why it's worse than ever nowadays. So that I'm going against the grain all the way through, but damn, like this stuff, right? So that's how I get to be me. So eventually get this, I mean, successful, at a successful, crazy successful dance career that I gave up for my children and my wanted to be a father and a good man and a good husband and being the father that I wanted to be. I gave that up to start a business in Los Angeles that was super successful. And eventually, a few years back, I had to give up and sell the business to do this full time because this became stage 3 of my life. The calling, my mission, my God given mission, which I used to resent in the beginning, is to actually to put it to pull the culture back to midway. Right, we're not going back to the
to bring
50s,
order back. Yeah.
Right, not back to the 50s. What we're doing is ridiculous right now. There's a modern way to do all of this that lines up with nature, which is a lot easier on both our bodies, my bodies and her bodies. Right, like let a man be a man. He's going to be a better man when he can produce, how he feels about himself, what he's capable of. It's a more incredible next to try to keep him soft and sweet. That's going to kill him in the end. Right, a woman is better, happier, lovelier when she's in touch with the essence as a woman, into community, into connectivity, into being nurturing appropriately. When she's too masculine, everything goes away about her that's lovely, that attracts us. Like so too far, right? So there's a modern way to do this. You can be strong, independent, and powerful as a woman, and you have to leave your balls at work. You cannot bring your balls home.
No,
you will kill him.
No,
and if you're dating on a date, women make this mistake. They approach dating, they get a job interview. On dating, you cannot put your balls in his face. He doesn't give a fuck what you do. He doesn't give a fuck how much money you make and how powerful you are. Put your balls out. Leave him in a desk drawer. Do not bring him out in public. And those are women who can have it all. They know how to be business women, and they know how to be in the world with men, with women, with children, with animals. Right? When a woman is in touch with the feminine, she radiates everywhere.
That's very much an American thing.
I understand.
I spoke with a girl. I spoke with a girl from Brazil that I had a thing going with, and she said, "You Americans on Tinder, it looks like a LinkedIn profile." And asking someone what they do for work in other countries is
ridiculous.
It's way down the line. It's
inappropriate.
Yeah.
You have to get to know the person first, right? That he's not in front of you, lady, because you have money or you have a badass career. That's not interesting. If he's a man, he's a boy, he's all over it because you're gonna make his life comfortable. Which takes me back to what I teach. The first thing I teach to women is like differentiate. In my world, there's 3 kinds of men. Boys hate to hear me say this because I kind of pull the wool, I pull the cover off of them, right?
Good.
Man or man? No kidding. Men or man? Men know who they are. They know what they want. They know how to get it. They go for their life. They build their characters. Those are the men who want to commit to women. Those are the men who use their sexual power to create a world and a life and a purpose in life. Want children, take care of their children, or you know what I mean? Man. Now, men are big. Men are big, right? So they often are uncomfortable for women to dance with because they're big, right? They're often controlling or too controlling, right? Or you can negotiate very well with them. Like, fine, whatever. You don't want to hear that. I don't care. You don't want to go. Run you over, right? This is where the communication that I was talking about earlier, Manglish, just say Manglish. How do you ask for correction appropriately? Because his testosterone, his body, his chemistry will have him over the top, not on purpose, just a normal male. So these are the guys who do everything right, but they're a little tough, to negotiate with. There's a very easy way to do this. Men. The second one that I call guys, they're everywhere in our culture. These are men who are manly enough to have a little shitty job and a little shitty car. They live with a couple of roommates, at least they're not in mom's basement playing video game, unemployed, right? They work, but they live small, right? They're not men. They're manly enough to, like I said, have a car, a little shitty job, and pay money just to pay for the shit, but they don't live large. They don't push large. And part of it is because they've been shamed of being masculine. So they have enough to do it some, but not enough to be big with. And the biggest problem is that with women is they're completely emasculated. So they don't ask women out. They don't know how to be man with women. They've been taught that masculinity is toxic and damaging. So, you can't even say to a girl, she's pretty. That's just rude. I'm more than my body. Well, really? So they just, right? So when it comes to women, they're very passive. So instead of making a plan to take out for dinner or to coffee or to go for a walk on the park, it's like, hey, I'd like to get to know you. How about a cup of coffee, you and I, this afternoon and tomorrow night? right? They don't do this. That's toxic. That's leaning on women. So they go, so I'd like to go out with you. So is that okay? Maybe if you want to go for coffee, maybe like maybe. And so and then she's like, okay, right? And then he goes, so what kind of coffee you want to go to? Like what do you want to go? And so and well maybe you go for a movie after you want. That'd be nice. So what kind of movie you want to see? It? What time? Like they become fucking noodles, right? They've been shamed out of taking making plans. And you go, I like you. I'd like to get to know you. How about this afternoon or tomorrow? Like da da da. Give her a couple options. What do you think? And she go, I love that, except I don't want to go too late if you don't mind. You know what I mean? Like ask her how she feels about it so you can tweak it. Make the fucking plan. It's flattering on a woman. Stop asking what she wants. You're making her the man. You want a woman on your arm? Make the plan so you have a woman on your arm. Don't put it on her, dumbass.
Rule number one, make the plans.
But that's cultural, right? So a lot of guys everywhere in our world. So not men are men, and like I said, they're unapologetic about it. They're big, okay, and they're uncomfortable a lot. Fine, no problem. There's a lot of goodies there. The guys are kind of in the middle. They have their shit together, but not really. So the good news about guys is the moment a woman shows up with the want and the need and the like to be treated like a lady, to have him be a gentleman, you very quickly, the moment you put it back on them, where you going to go for a coffee? Well, I'll go wherever you want. I'm not comfortable making a decision. Pick, whatever you pick, I'll be happy with. Like, give permission to be a man, right? They get rehabilitated so quickly because they realize this woman likes a man to make decisions. This woman likes a man to lead, but they've been shamed out of it. So you just give them to it a little bit, and they flourish really quickly. Fantastic. The third type is a guy. Sorry, man, guys, boys.
Boys
are the ones that are shitty. These are the ones who have been overly mothered, no father, no role models. They want women. They encourage women to be powerful and work. And you go, girl, you're a badass, and go for that promotion where you're sitting on your couch, spooning the dog, smoking a joint, right? Like writing his music. A lot of musician type. They create a lot of type musician, artistic personalities are very much like that. They don't want to work. They want it to be good. They want to be happy and comfortable. You got some of that in you, right? As a comedian, you want to do your thing, right? You don't want to work 40 hours a week. That's stupid. Only losers do this, right? They're superior and somehow people owe them. I'm just saying.
No, I went through this phase as a boy.
I'm with you.
I'm very honest. Back. I had to go from a boy to a man. I went through this very much.
Man. I'm a fucking dancer. I live to feel good. That's what saved my life, actually. But eventually I had to get back to me. But in the beginning, it saved my life to feel good. I was miserable. And then I got healthy on the other side. Well, I need to be much more than this guy. So it was an adventure, right? Step by step. But so the boys typically are feminists. They 50-50. They love that shit. They don't have to pay for it. They don't do anything. They're victims, right? Life is really hard. They always it's difficult. You don't understand. It's difficult in Los Angeles. I'm like, really? It's difficult. Like everybody else got easy, you dumbass. Right? So they're full of excuses. They're victims, right? And every victim card you can imagine. My favorite is they'll knock on your door after dating the guy for a month and a half, and he goes, "Can I move in for a few days? My landlord's a douchebag. I fucking have to get the fuck out of there. Hasn't paid his rent in 6 months, but he won't say that. So he's supposed to move in for a few days, and he never doesn't go anywhere. He moves into your house. You know what I mean? He doesn't work, so now he borrows money that he promised to pay back. He never pays it back. He goes out of town with his buddies on the weekend. So you're walking his dog, and he's driving your car because he can't afford to fix this piece of shit. In 6 months, women are what the fuck happened to my life? Boys they're slick. They're so feminine. They know to say the right thing, to wrap women around their little fingers really quickly. They're apparently amazing in bed, so they seduce you that way. If you're masculine, you'll be easily seduced by sensuality in bed. It's backwards again. We flip the script. You see it? And now you start paying for him like a good man because, he's having a hard time. He needs his car fixed. And also you become his mother. So these guys are to be avoided at all costs. It's no woman's job to fix a man.
No,
it's his job to fix himself. But women that are masculine get stuck in this over nurturing stuff, and they think, how many times I hear this? I end up always with the project man.
Yeah, I want to fix him. A little bird with a broken wing.
You're a masculine woman, and you're trying to make this little bitch's life easier. That's not your job, right? You do not. I say to women, do not give your time, your energy, your sex, and your money to an able-bodied male. A grown male does not need a mother. He doesn't need your fucking money. No respectable man will ask you for money. No man's ever going to ask you for money. The boy will, right? If you watch Judge Judy, it's funny. I love Judge Judy because she talks so much shit, and sees people in the face. Hey, But half the cases is some douchebag who borrowed, $5 grand, $3,000 from his girlfriend.
And I never paid it back.
I never paid back, and she's like, he need help with his car. She never said I had to pay it back. She said it was a gift. Fuck you, right? This all a self-respecting man will never ask for a girl's money, right? So do not give men money. Do not give him sex without condition. Don't fuck him. Don't mother him with you. Don't nurse him with your vagina for him to do nothing, ladies. You're setting yourself up for disaster, right? You get attached to him, even if it's a douchebag. Don't spend your time like helping him find a job. That's his job to find himself a job. Do not spend your energy and time on nurturing, babying a full-grown man. That's my first rule. Like, stop. So, and you have a boy because he'll resist it, and he'll make you wrong for not helping him the way he wants to be helped because it's your job to make his life easier. Fuck that. So, the first thing I teach my ladies: get the spot, know how to spot the three, and know how to get the fuck away really quickly from the boys. Guys, have a good shot. The man, you're gonna go like this because they're scary a little bit energetically. Learn to dance. You'll feel like a girl. You put his arm around your life. Right? Anyway, so how did we get here?
No, I know how you're gonna wrap this up because you get another meeting in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Andre, thanks for doing the show. And where can people find you?
Okay, so a couple of ways. By the way, I have a gift for you listeners if they're curious. So men and women. So anybody who's curious about, so what I do, I offer anybody who's curious, who want to pick my brain about what I do or their circumstances. Like I call it exploratory calls for free. So if you go to andregroupcoaching.com, andregroupcoaching.com, it takes you to a landing page with a calendar, my calendar. And if you book a VIP 1 hour call, it's called exploratory call or breakthrough call, it's the same thing. And I'll have a conversation with whoever is curious about what is it that is not working in their lives. Because people come to me, like go to the doctor when something's not working. So what's the problem, men or women? What is it that you want? And how do I get you there? So the call is, I always go directly into childhood stuff because this is when we make decisions in life about people, the world, ourselves, life. You know what I mean? Women who had no daddy or bad daddies have to man up and they end up growing masculine in the world and don't know how to be feminine. All my clients, not their fault, circumstances. But that call itself is enough to go, like there's nothing wrong with you. It's just your circumstances. So we know what happened. Now we're here. Where you want it to go? That's what it looks like. This is how I can help. So that call is, for a lot of women, like relieves the fact that have this, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Nothing wrong with you. It's your circumstances. Same with men. Now, what do you want to do about it? Right? This is why I offer this, or this. So that's one. So anybody who's curious, just go to andregroupcoaching.com, book a call, it'll go right on my calendar. We'll have a Zoom call. I'll send you a link and we'll talk about what's up. And I'll offer you what it is that I do and you take it or you leave it. That's it. My website is projectequinox.net. If you want to poke around what I do, there's videos and blog there's a lot of podcasts on there as well. And I encourage women to even watch a podcast. I do a few called M&M Company in Canada. It's a men and masculinity podcast. It's men's podcast. Women need to watch that shit because you'll get a different dimension of what's going on when you're not present, right? So I have a bunch of shit on there. Give you an idea what I'm up to, and like I said, just book a call or email me, and I'm my job, the mission, the big purpose is. This is really big, and sometimes I used to resent it, but it's just what it is. My job is to put a dent in our cultural belief, things that are not working anymore. We're too distinct from here, we're too there. Somehow it's my job to teach people there's a different, better way, right? To flip the script does not fix anything, it makes everything worse. People are unhappy and miserable. Women are in pain, and men are lonely. Because this doesn't have to be that way, right? So there's
no, it doesn't.
To redo this. So, but our culture is teaching you everything that doesn't work. Everything our culture is teaching you, both men and women, is keeping you from achieving a healthy relationship. It's almost impossible if you fall into the belief system. So some people have a way of, my clients come to me with, my mother said, but that ain't working. Apparently you got something different. What do you got, right? So like people come to me when they realize that they've been sold a lemon, that whatever is supposed to be right isn't working. And those are perfect clients because they're open, right? And we dive in and I get them on the other side, and transformational. Absolutely. It's fun. So that's.
Do you have any social media?
I have at Project Equinox with Andre Paradis on Facebook. I have a page in my personal Andre Paradis. I have a private group of women. I have 1,700 women in a private group where I feed information all the time. You have to ask to be in the group, but answer the questions, you get you in, and I have content there all the time. So if you're curious about joining that community, because this is a community of very, very smart, very open, very enlightened, curious women who want to know about men and relationships, right? So just join that group. It's fantastic. But email me first so I can let you in. I'll send you the link, because my email is Andre Coaching #1 at Gmail. The number one, Andre Coaching 1 at Gmail. I'll send it. Just ask me for the link to the group. I'll send it to you. Because you can find it online. It's called Dating and Relationship Insights. But there's a lot of dating stuff that comes up, so you may have a hard time finding it. And then I have Instagram. It's called @RelationDynamics. Another way to follow me is there. I don't do Twitter anymore.
Twitter sucks. It's a dying platform.
Thank you.
It's a very toxic place.
But yeah, I'm with you. So I'm not doing it. So I'm pretty much. And if you just Google my name. Like you Google my name and you see like everything I did last week was fun. I Googled podcast with Andre Paradis and like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I just gotta listen to this conversation that I have with other podcasters about life, relationship, women, men, relationships, all that stuff. Good stuff.
Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you for
the space, by the way, because and a lot of podcasts end up saying similar things. This was completely different.
Yeah, I'm glad.
No, seriously, like we get to roll hard in some stuff that's not pretty.
Work ain't pretty, and a lot of people think that you want to get to the end results without having to go through the hard parts of the suffering, and you don't. It's going to hurt.
You can't.
I'm all about that. When you look back on it, the hard parts are some of the funnest parts. I think they weren't when you were in them, but when you look back, you go, oh, you know what? Oof, this wouldn't taste so good if I didn't have to work so hard for it.
Straight up, no. That's a value system that's disappearing in the name of the world owes me and should be easier. I don't have to work so hard and I shouldn't have to struggle. Yeah, that's exactly the problem.
Struggle makes it all worthwhile. That's where the strength comes from.
Yes, and perspective and empathy and power, really, confidence, all of that comes from stumbling, getting up. Simple.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad. It's nice to meet people on a similar wavelength. I want to help send some people your way and
thank you.
Spread the word.
Yeah, and we could do this again because there's material for 25 days.
I know.
Just say
I was going to launch into a story about a tribal society I went to in the mountains of Colombia, where all they did was explain to me men and women dynamics, and when it happened, it blew my mind when I came back. But I can save it for another episode with you.
Nice. That'd be fun. But my favorite part is I do a lot of podcasting. I had my own for a while, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm used to being in front of. That's just been my whole life. But my favorite thing is to be challenged live. Like try to take me apart. I can back all of it up, right? And I'm not saying like I love when women come at me with, oh yeah, well, boom, 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 and I go, oh yeah, no.
I'm the same way. I enjoy that.
Oh, wait, I never thought of it that way. Well, like I can back it all up, right? It's not my opinion. None of this is my opinion.
It's just the way it is.
It's nature and science. It's life.
The universe is what it is, and we can't
straight up, right? So you could fight it. It'll cost you. You really want to pay the price? Mm-hmm. I say no. Why? You can fight it, but it doesn't make for a good life in the end. Oh, but what if there's an easier way? What if nature knows best? To some degree. Well, that's interesting. Let's look into that.
I know. I've fought Mother Nature for a long fucking time, and she kicked my ass every time I stepped up to bat. You will lose every time. You will lose every time. In the end, you won't be able to sustain. I had a friend who's convinced that he's convinced that he can make women. So funny, so ridiculous. Like from all of my knowledge, he can make them polyamorous by will and happy about it. So that he can fuck. So he can fuck everybody he wants, and she should be okay with that. And she can fuck anybody she wants, and he'll be okay with that because ultimately, there's no restrictions in our fucking around. So this is a new, in his mind, elevated, human beings because we're not. I'm like, you're such an idiot. You have no idea. Like you completely. But he's that's his mission, right? He's gonna
I'm like, good luck with that, you moron. You're fighting.
It's gonna hurt you in the end.
You're fighting nature from the get-go, and you think that I mean, good luck with that. He's like, no, come on, help me spread it around. I know it's possible. I'm like, I can't help you.
Mm.
I can't help you. You're not going to destroy women for the sake of your little dick,
Yeah.
thinking that you're going to make them act like a man and that's better for them. No, not happening.
No.
Not happening.
And
But good luck with that.
well, I hear that's a moral of this podcast, and I'll end it right there. Is don't fight nature, because she knows what she's doing.
And you will lose. It will cost you in 10, 15, 20, 50 years. I don't care. You will lose. And you would think, you look back and go, if I'd have known that. But so I'm saying, to me, what I'm saying, I call it, I sound the alarm.
Mhm.
I sound, forget the culture says, what is it that you want? What is a good life to you? As a woman, you want to be mother, and a wife, right? Because they can't even say that out loud now. Women are like, oh, girl, you know better than that. You're so much better than that. Fuck you. How dare you tell anybody what they want, what they dream of, right? So forget the culture, forget your mother, right? Sometimes forget your father who told you need to be strong and independent because you can't trust men. Well, that tells me a lot more about him than anything else. So what is it that you want? What is the dream? Do you want a couple of kids and a husband and a good life where you work and, but this having it all in segments, right? From family connection to a business to there's a way to have it all. But culturally, the way we do it right now doesn't work, right? So sound the alarm. Do you want to be a woman with a career or a career woman? It's up to you. One is impossible. One is actually very fulfilling for most. The women don't want any of that. Beautiful, good for you. What is it you want? What is it that you want? Out loud, say it out loud for yourself. You want a husband? I do. I can never say it out loud.
That's
good
funny.
for you. What are you gonna do about it? And then I think a couple of kids. If I said it to my mom, she'd be mad at me. Really? She'd be mad at you. Your life. Anyway, now I'm going to soap opera.
It's all good.
That's my work, right? It's my everyday.
Very good. I know. I'm
sound the alarm. Sound the alarm. Sound the alarm. Sound the alarm. It's your life. What do you want? Your way. Boom. And if it's complicated, what have you been listening to? That's another way.
All right.
We're done.
All right.